Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. This is Aso Barrow, and in today's Pick a Bear reading, we are going to be getting comforting messages from the universe straight to you. So these can be from your guides, from angels, spirit guides, the universe itself, whatever feels most comfortable to you. And this is also a special reading today because I am only going to be using specific decks from my starseed friend who makes these beautiful, beautiful decks. You guys have seen them before. I have a Sailor Moon one, I have a Harry Potter themed one, as well as a Harry Potter themed deck, all made by her. So if you are interested in these decks, they will be linked down below, as well as her Instagram. So I really hope that you guys enjoy this reading today. I hope it brings you comfort, and I really hope that it resonates. And for those of you that were looking for these cards, now you know. Okay, so we have 4 different bears to choose from. For pile 1, we have this pink bear and a card that you'll have to see if you pick the pile. For pile 2, we have the green bear as well as the green bear's little card. And then for pile 3, we have the blue bear as well as its little card. And finally, we have pile 4 with the purple bear and its little card. So I do quickly want to say, if you want to know where to get these, I have no idea. I got them like, oh gosh, over a decade ago for Christmas, but they've brought me a lot of comfort, so I hope that they bring you comfort as well. But once you have picked your pile or piles, you can go ahead and scroll down to the description box or the comment section where I will have all the timestamps for each pile listed below. It's absolutely okay to pick more than one pile. Just do whatever feels right to you. And then once you have found the pile you want to pick, go ahead, find your timestamp, and we will get into your reading. Hi there, pile 1. If you guys chose the pink bear and this card, this is going to be your reading with comforting messages from the universe. I also did want to say that this bear has Wednesday on its foot, so if that is a confirmation of some kind, just wanted to give it up there. Let me make sure that, yep, okay, we are good. So I wanted to start by just looking at the card associated with the bear to kind of just see what's going on and see what the main idea of these messages are going to be about. So we have the last battle here, and the vibe that I was getting when I was tuning into your energy was that I can just tell you feel really exhausted. And if you're like, I'm not exhausted, I'm like, this is probably not your pile, king or queen. But essentially what I'm really feeling is like, you may feel like every time you get back up, it's like there's some other obstacle in your way that knocks you right back down. Or you've had something that you've been battling against. For some of you, it could be like a mental health thing. For others, it could be something with like legal things. I've heard custody, but like I feel very uncomfortable getting like too deeply into legal things because I think there are, you know, lawyers and stuff for a reason. I'm not really well versed on that, but you could be facing some sort of difficult legal battle, or you could be, honestly, this battle could have something to do with anyone. It could even be like a sibling or a parent. This could also have something to do with maybe you got in a conflict with somebody that you cared about recently, that you're hoping will kind of fizzle out, or like what I mean by fizzle out is like the conflict fizzle out, kind of get out of any negative energies that are associated with this. But from what I can see here, I can definitely see your guides and the universe letting me know and letting you know that you're a brave soul and you're a brave warrior, and they're acknowledging that what you've been going through hasn't been easy, no matter what it is. Because this is a general reading, you have to remember that the semantics for everyone will be different, but they want you to know that what you've been fighting for is not in vain. What you've been fighting for is not worthless or futile. You're doing a great job. In fact, I'm hearing you're doing amazing, sweetie. And I feel like what your guides really want you to know is that while these battles have not been have been challenging, you will win the war. and that you will understand when you come through these difficulties why certain things had to happen the way they did, or why the universe aligned them in a certain way. But I'm going to go ahead and start pulling some tarot cards and see, you know, what your guides really want to say and go deeper into this. So Spirit, what do you want to say about this last battle that pile 1 is really facing? What do they need to know? I just heard keep going and keep growing. Yeah, we have death. So there's definitely change up ahead. And we have the 6 of Cups, but it came out reversed, but I'm not taking reversals for this reading, so I'm taking it upright. What else, Spirit? We have the Hermit. We have Temperance. Okay, one thing that I'm hearing right now, there's definitely a message coming through about your inner child. And through your own lens of pain, you may be feeling like you've lost your innocence, or you've lost your ability to connect with the former version of yourself. And the first big message that I'm getting from the universe is that you have not lost access to this version of yourself, but in fact, you've just been through many difficult, harrowing things, and you've needed to give yourself time and space to heal those things, to feel safe within your own body, to learn how to cope with the stressors of life. And one thing that your guides want you to know is that innocent, childlike version of you is not gone forever. It just needs to be rediscovered, and sometimes it takes time to get there, especially when you're dealing with really difficult circumstances, because it's hard to feel childlike and free when you're going through really, really difficult times, you know? I mean, if you even just think about the Harry Potter series, like even the earliest movies still have some pretty intense darkness to them, but they get darker and more intense. And I think one thing that your guides are letting you know is that, you know, life is never not going to be life. Life doesn't necessarily get easier. It's just that we get better at dealing with it, because, you know, life has a habit of being life. And I feel like there's this deep desire to reconnect with yourself, but you might be so afraid of what stands in your way of reconnecting with yourself that you've maybe found it to be too overbearing to even face. But I want to go deeper into the tarot. So, Spirit, what else? Okay, yeah, we have the Page of Wands and the 8 of Wands. It's like, one thing that you need to know is that the process of healing, the process of transmuting a lot of pain and difficult energy is not something that you can just wake up one day and be healed from. You know, healing is a constant process, and healing never ends. You know, and it'd be nice if we could just hit the pause button and not have to worry about life being life, but c'est la vie, that is how life is. And I think one thing that Spirit is saying is that you need to be patient with yourself and your own growth, because you may be trying to force yourself to heal / be ready for the next step of life, when emotionally, spiritually, physically, you may just not be there. Mentally, it seems like you want to be there, but I think you're actually maybe creating more pain for yourself, because you're not giving yourself the patience and the grace to be able to just heal in time. And one thing that I do also want to say is that you don't need to be fully healed or fully integrated as a person in order to be valid, in order to be worthy of good things, in order to be worthy of blessings. It's important to know that you don't have to be a whole and complete human to go after what you want, especially if you are wanting to go after things that seem bigger than yourself. Yeah, there's a lot kind of hidden within that maybe you're not fully seeing. Okay, I'm going to take the Knight of Pentacles, but I'm going to move these back. Yeah, and on the back of the deck, we have the King of Cups. So I definitely think you're going through this process of learning how to mature emotionally and accept a lot of difficult circumstances in your life. I think one of the hardest things though is that you may feel like you've never really had the chance to prove yourself, or you've never really had the chance to be in an environment where you could thrive optimally. And one thing that your guides want you to know is that that is something that will change as time goes on, but it's hard to know what will help you thrive if you don't even know if you don't really know yourself. You know, you might have an idea of what might help you thrive, but until you really start digging into your inner work and digging into who you are internally, you're gonna have a hard time really knowing what it is that you actually need and what it is that you actually desire. Because part of it is there's a need to recognize where certain phenomena in your body is coming from. So for example, if you have really anxious thoughts, okay, that's probably going to be the mental body, right? If you find yourself just dreading the next day, or dreading what's going to happen next, or things like that, that might be something in your emotional body, but it might be connected to your mental body. I think there's just a need to be able to sit in more awareness. And I'm just hearing right now, like, well, I don't have time to do that, I'm busy. Your guides are asking you to make time, because even if it's just 5 minutes every single day to just sit with yourself and get to know yourself, I think it's really important for you to know that your life circumstances are not a punishment from the universe. They're not consequences for being who you are. They're not the universe's way of saying that you deserve something, or that you're not worthy of good things. It's just life being life. And unfortunately, we all kind of have to work with the cards that were dealt. But I think there's a need to stop looking outside of yourself to see what it is that you want out of life, or what it is that will make you satisfied, because I think that you are not giving yourself enough credit at all, and that you deserve more credit. I also think that for some of you, if you're younger, there's a need to recognize that, like, you can't wish away the process of growth. So for example, like if you're in high school or something like that, and you're just ready to be free and to do your own thing, and you're stuck by the limitations of being young, or the limitations of not being financially independent, or things like that, there's a realization that there's a need to be patient with that process, and also recognize that it's not going where you're at right now is not going to be where you will be forever. You will grow beyond these times, and you will look back and be like, wow, I can't believe how far I've come. I really do think though that you need to be kinder to yourself. I think you're really, really, really unfair to yourself. Like, any mistake you make, any little slip up you have, I think that you are just such a bully to yourself sometimes, that you really don't give yourself, you become your own worst enemy, in the sense that because other people have hurt you, you're taking that on as your truth, as what you deserve to experience. And that's not at all the case. And that's what your guides want you to know. You're in the process right now of maturing emotionally and learning how to handle difficult circumstances and difficult energies. And that pain of dealing with those difficult things is not something that you need to shame yourself for. Feeling big feelings, feeling difficult feelings are not a sign of you doing something wrong, or not a sign of you being messed up or something like that. Feelings are data, the same way anything else is. Feelings are just telling you something. And there's a need to be patient with the fact that sometimes you're going to have to allow yourself to just be human, and allow the process of growth to occur naturally. It might feel like there's not much happening in those time periods, but there's a lot more happening than you realize. I do think as well, if you're on the flip side of things, and let's say you consider yourself to be older, and you feel like there's not enough time for you to accomplish what it is that you want to do, well, the first thing that your guides are telling you is, well, there's no time like the present. And just sitting here thinking about how you won't get something done is certainly not helping you get there. It's being curious and taking action that really is much more helpful. I do think that there's a lot of change headed your way, and it's heading your way very swiftly. But what's really important is that if you don't have a connection with yourself right now, that is something that you need to start working on, because you are going to continue to drift through life uncertain, unaware, mindless of what's truly going on within, and it's going to make it a lot harder for you to interpret what your circumstances are, or interpret what the truth of something actually is. And I think one thing that you need to know as well is that, like, it's not like you need to just go on some retreat and isolate from everyone. It's more so that your guides really want you to know that it's okay to take a little bit of time every single day to just spend some time with yourself and see how you're doing and nurture yourself. I think there's a deep desire to reconnect with your inner self. I think you're just afraid of kind of looking at what's in there. And I think what you need to know is that you are being supported. I mean, it's no wonder you picked the pink bear. You're being supported by unconditionally loving energies that only want you to thrive and grow. It's only your ego that makes you believe you're not worthy of being better, of doing better, or of achieving more. You know, I think there's also a need to reconnect with the dreams that you had in your childhood. You know, what did you want to be? Who did you want to become? Who did you admire? Who did you look up to? And how can you integrate that into your current life? There's a need to be so much more compassionate towards yourself than you are right now, because I think, honestly, I think that you look at everyone around you with rose-colored glasses, and I think you look at yourself with shit-colored glasses. Like, you almost believe that you've literally, like, convinced yourself that you're not worthy of good things, or that you're not deserving of evolution, or that you're not deserving of growth. And I think the biggest battle that you're facing right now is the battle between your heart and your mind, because your mind, the thing about our minds is that, you know, they're fucking incredible, and they can do so much, and they can help us with so much, but they can also hurt us in so many different ways. And the mind works best when you're ruling it, not when it's ruling you. So if you need to find help to kind of work through your mind, like whether it be something like cognitive behavioral therapy, or you know, talking to someone you trust, or getting counseling or something like that, it might be really helpful for you to look at how you're talking to yourself, because it's really, really hard to get anything done when the mechanism that is responsible for controlling your entire body, the way you respond, the way you feel, act, and think, if it's not in a good place, it's going to be a lot harder for you to get into a good place. And I really think there's a need to kind of zoom out and recognize that, first of all, you're growing so much. You're growing at such a rapid rate. And the expectations that you have in terms of what you want to see around you, I think the universe is trying to get you to realize that it really doesn't matter how your external world changes. It's about how you respond to your external world and how your internal world feels about it. Because if you feel like shit now, if you don't feel good now, it doesn't matter how many things you achieve, it doesn't matter how far you go, you're still going to feel like shit when you get there. And then you're going to even feel shittier, because you're going to be like, well, I've done all this, I've worked so hard, and why don't I like myself, or why don't I like where I'm at? And it's because you haven't found peace and acceptance with where you are right now, with where you are in your journey. It's time to stop looking at your life as like achievements or things that you need to check off your list. You are not a to-do list. You are not a bucket list. You are a human, and you are multidimensional. You have so many different aspects to you. And the idea that you need to be one version of yourself or fit into some sort of mold that the people around you have given you some sort of expectation that you need to uphold, that's not the truth. That's maybe what people are trying to make your truth, but that doesn't have to be your truth. And I think what Spirit is really trying to tell you here is that you're fine, you're doing okay. But if you're not okay, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to seek help outside yourself. You don't need to be so self-sufficient that you don't feel comfortable asking for help from others. And for some of you, if that's the case, that in of itself is a trauma response that needs to be looked at. You know, hyper-independence isn't necessarily a good thing. You know, if you feel like you can't rely on others, if you feel like you have to keep your emotions hidden, if you if you have to, you know, hide yourself, that's a sign that there are lots of things that need to be healed and things that need to be worked through. Because the truth of the matter is that your world is whatever you make it. And so if you feel like the world is dark and scary, it's gonna be pretty dark and scary. If you recognize that there are horrible things in the world but beautiful things as well, that's going to be your perspective. And you know, on the flip side, if everything is always sunshines and rainbows and you refuse to acknowledge, you know, the darkness that lies within you that's really making you struggle, that's going to be just as detrimental. You know, it's really important to recognize both the positives and the negatives in your life, not as things that are like, how do I explain this? There's always going to be good and bad things in your life, right? You know, every rose has its thorn, right? And one thing that I think the universe is trying to get you to understand is that there's always going to be some kind of thorn. There's always going to be a reason to not be happy, or a reason to not be satisfied or be at peace. And your guides are asking you, are you going to let that stop you, or are you going to continue fighting for your own peace? Because you're worthy and deserving of your own peace. And I think one thing that would be really helpful for you as well is that if you're stuck in a particular routine, it's time to get out of it, because it's clearly not serving you the way that you thought it would. Like, I think that there needs to be room for more fun. There needs to be room for things that bring you joy, or like things that bring back childhood nostalgia, like teddy bears, or like a favorite show, like maybe Harry Potter, or something that reconnects you to joyful happiness in your life. Like, happiness is obviously like a fleeting state, the same way joy is, but that doesn't mean you can't access it. You might be kind of projecting these desires of happiness into your future, like projecting your belief that you'll find happiness when you get that degree, or get that job, or get that partner, or get whatever it is. And your guides are trying to redirect you, because they're saying, listen, you can have the job, you can have the person, you can have the degree. But if you are seeking these things as a way to feel worthy, as a way to feel valid, as a way to feel peace, it's not going to come that way. And you're going to be really disappointed that you took so much action towards something, and then you feel the same way when you reach the finish line. Because then you're going to be like, well, what's wrong with me? I've worked so hard, I've come so far, and I don't feel any different. I don't feel any better. And that's because what you're working with is things that you got to work with internally. And I also think that there's a need to maybe explore your intuitive abilities more, because I think that you're probably a very intuitive child, and I would be willing to bet that a lot of people didn't believe you or didn't trust what you were experiencing because they couldn't connect in that same way. They weren't connected. And so you may have been unintentionally gaslit by the people around you that denied your experiences. And as a result, you may feel like now, you may feel a lot of pain, or you may feel like you may get extra triggered when you feel misunderstood, or you may get really upset when maybe someone gives you unsolicited advice, or somebody tries to help and you feel like they couldn't possibly understand. I just keep hearing, you couldn't possibly understand. And what I feel like you need to know is that suffering is human. There is no human on this earth that leaves it unscathed. Like, and if you are projecting this belief that somebody else is not suffering, or that they don't have struggles, or they don't have issues, not only are you wrong, but that's just a false belief imprisoning you in the idea that you're separate from others when you're really not. You know, we all have struggles, we all have difficulties, and there's a part of you that is just dying to get out. And it's really just your own coping mechanisms, your own fears, the self that you formed to feel safe in your environment that is kind of suppressing this part of yourself that wants to come out. It's like you're really fighting against the two parts of yourself, the part of yourself that you've created to feel safe, and the part of yourself that you naturally are, and they're kind of at odds. And so you might be wondering why you're extra exhausted, and it's because you're fighting both parts of yourself. There's a need to accept that you've had to become the person that you are today in order to cope with the challenges of your past. But what you need to know is that every single day you're gaining more awareness, and you have the opportunity to look at things a different way, to see things a different way, and to explore a different way of being. And also, you can create an environment for yourself that is safe, that is secure, that allows yourself without judgment or shame to kind of see what's going on internally. I think it's really hard at times to do our inner work when we may be judging or shaming ourselves for what we see. And it's really important to note that you're not going to be able to do a whole lot of inner work if you can't lovingly accept whatever comes through, because there are going to be things that you're uncomfortable with. There are going to be memories, feelings, experiences that you're not comfortable with. But what you need to know is that your past does not define you, and you're not chained to a particular idea of you or a particular version of you that existed 2 weeks ago, 2 years ago, 10 years ago. You are constantly evolving as a human being. And who you are, what you're about, your identity is constantly going to shift, and that's okay. You're allowed to lovingly release things that don't serve you anymore. You're allowed to embrace change. You're allowed to embrace who you're becoming. But what you need to know is that you don't have to ditch the parts of yourself that you've always liked in order to be who you're becoming. The person that you are becoming is just integrating more of your beautiful self into being. You don't have to deny aspects of yourself or shame parts of yourself that you feel like don't fit this person you're growing into, you know? I really feel like there's just a need to be patient with yourself and be kind with yourself. I'm also hearing a message about impulsivity, to be careful about the actions that you take out of particular emotions that you feel. And one thing that I want to say is that it's okay to be angry. It's okay to have rage. It's okay to feel negative emotions. Negative emotions serve their purpose, and like a storm, sometimes we just need to feel them and allow them to pass. The important thing is making sure that you don't take action from a raging place, because that's where, you know, things can get difficult and you can create more issues, you know. Anger and rage are very powerful emotions that can teach you a lot, but they can also create a lot of destruction if you're not able to handle them in constructive ways. And so, you know, if you're feeling a lot of intense emotions, having that, instead of trying to push it down and being like, I'm fine, it's fine, everything's all good, and then, you know, one person like steps on the back of your foot and you want to go off on them, and it has nothing to do with them, and even you recognize that, but you know, you might hurt that person unintentionally because of what you're going through. And so that's when it's really important to say to yourself, like, I'm angry, I'm pissed off, like, I'm frustrated right now. And be okay with that. You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to be pissed off. You're allowed to be frustrated. There's a lot of frustrating things that just happen in life all the time. And that's okay. It's all about allowing yourself to feel those things, but not feeling like you need to act from that place, that you can come back to what you're doing. You can come back to taking action after those feelings have passed and you're in a clearer state of mind. Sometimes we do take action from a place of rage, from a place of anger, and that has its purpose too. There might be some consequences as a result, but even then it has its own purpose. I think there's just a need to stop being so damn hard on yourself all the time. Because, you know, there is beauty to being self-aware, but when you're so self-aware to the point where you can't even allow yourself to exist and be human, that's a problem, because now you're just existing, you're not living, and you deserve to live. You don't deserve to be isolated in your emotions and in what you're experiencing, you know? You are just as worthy of help, of love, of everything else as anyone else on this planet is. And I feel called to say as well, it does not matter, you know, what your social status is. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter what you have, who you know, who follows you. In the spirit world, everybody is equal. You know, you are not no higher or lower than anyone else. You just are. And one thing that you need to understand about your guides and the universe is that the universe really does match the energy that you're putting out. And so and honestly, that's not even like a universal thing, it's a brain thing. You know, if you tell yourself today's going to be a shitty day, your brain's going to look for things to confirm that it was a shitty day. But if you tell yourself, you know, I'm not feeling too great today, but I'm going to try my best to embrace it. I'm going to try my best to, you know, find the good things in that day. Then you're going to try and find the good things in that day. I think there's a need to be aware of how your brain is ruling you instead of you ruling your brain. And that isn't something that we can necessarily always fix or solve on our own. Sometimes we need help, and that's okay. But you need to recognize that it's so unrealistic to expect yourself to fight all of these battles alone, especially if it's a battle of you against yourself. You know, the Battle of Hogwarts was not just Harry and Voldemort. You know, there was quite a few people there. Shit got messy. Like, it's so unrealistic to expect yourself to be able to do everything all of the time. And there is a bit of naivety there where you may just feel like, oh, well, I'll just get older and then one day I'll figure it all out and I'll understand it. Well, let me tell you this. Adults are just children in big bodies. And there are a lot of adults that never, ever, ever grow out of what they're doing or what they're experiencing. And they continue to allow the same old stories, the same old experiences to define their entire life. And that doesn't have to be your life. You get to decide how you want your life to be. And of course, we all have limitations as human beings. We've all been born into these systems that clearly don't support humans very well, and we all have challenges and things that we're going through. But I think it's important to recognize what you can control and what you can't control, and to not allow what you can't control to affect what you can control. Because when you're focused on what you can control and not what you can't, it makes going through life a little bit easier and a little bit less stressful. But I think there's just a need to slow down a little bit, in the sense that it seems like you're running on empty. And I really just think that you need to ask for help. You need to ask, even if it's just a friend, to like come over and listen to you, or like I said, to find some sort of help in your life. Like you need that help, and no amount of comforting energy from the universe can really help you in terms of the physical realm, in the sense that, you know, your guides can't come down in carbon forms and say, hey buddy, like let's help you. They wish they could. They would absolutely love to. But there's a need to recognize where maybe you're relying too much on the universe to fix your problems for you, and maybe you're struggling to look at where you could actually take action on your own. Manifesting and things like, and working with spirit, it's a process of co-creation. You know, the spirit does their spirit things, and you do your human things, and you guys work together and you create a solution that's happy for both of you. I think there's just a need to recognize that it's okay to not feel okay, and that it's okay to not know what your next step is. It's okay to not know where you're headed or what you're doing or where you're going. It's okay to know nothing, but just know that you feel like shit. Even just acknowledging that can be really important and can be really healing. It is so unrealistic to expect yourself to be a bright, sunny version of yourself every single day. That's just not how humans are. And while it might be hard to recognize that you're human and that you have weaknesses and that you have feelings and that you're sensitive, and of course everybody's sensitivity is different, but that there are things that you're vulnerable to, that you have weaknesses, it will help you recognize that maybe you've been putting unnecessary pressure on yourself that was never meant to be there in the first place. You know, you might be putting such high expectations upon yourself that deep down you know that you'll never reach. And that's only so that you can continue that cycle of being mean to yourself and of shitting on yourself and confirming what you believe in your brain to be, that you're not good enough or that you won't do what you need to do. Now, with things like legal battles and things like that, that shit is really hard. Like, there's really nothing I can say other than that is an incredibly stressful situation. And, like, my heart goes out to anyone dealing with things like that. I think what it's important to know is that that's an example of something that you can't control. And so that would be something where you'd say, okay, I'm feeling really stressed out about XYZ. I can't control this right now. You know, like for example, if you're waiting for another court date or something like that, and that's, you know, 2 weeks away. Okay, well, nothing is going to change between now and 2 weeks from now. When my worries for this thing come up, I will remind myself that there's not a whole lot I can do, and that it's important to just let it flow. You'll deal with that bridge when you get to it. But I can tell that my worries about this situation are building on me. I'm getting more stressed out. I'm getting more anxious. So I'm going to do something to help myself de-stress, whether that is hanging out with friends, taking a bath, you know, exercising, whatever it may be to help you de-stress and just be more mindful. It's like your brain is just really uncomfortable right now with the idea of you suffering or the idea of you not doing well. And even though these are things that you're totally familiar with, I think that there's a part of you that's committed to not feeling that way anymore. And you need to know that that's not realistic. You are still going to feel that way sometimes. But the beautiful thing is that the more that you grow and evolve as a person and a human being, the better you will be at responding to those negative emotions, those negative experiences, and they won't have to define you. They'll just be parts of your human experience. They may not be parts of your human experience that you like very much, but they aren't you. They're just things that you are experiencing. They're not you. And the truth of the matter is, only you get to define you. It doesn't matter how other people see you. It doesn't matter what other people think of you. You know your truth better than anyone. And if you want to be seen as legit, you better show up every day knowing who the fuck you are. And if you don't know who you are, that's where you got to get started. Because the more that you know who you are, and the more that you allow yourself to grow and evolve, the more you're going to recognize that the things that people called you, the things people said about you, the things people believed about you, never held any weight in the first place, were never true, and never defined you. And there are always going to be 1,000 different versions of you in other people's heads. So you might as well be the person that you feel most comfortable, authentic, and aligned with. But I think what you need to know is that you are making progress. You are getting where you need to go. And slowly but surely, you'll get where you need to be. There's just a need to recognize that you're not always going to have it together 24/7, and that's okay. It is okay to be a hot mess express sometimes, or all the time. Lord knows I've been in that energy. I'm in that energy a lot, if I'm being honest. But we're getting better. We're growing and improving. And I think what you need to know is that you need to stop fighting yourself. Allow yourself to be who you're becoming. And don't be afraid to reignite parts of yourself that you feel you've been neglecting. You are so much more than your labels, your roles, your identity. You're a multidimensional being, and you have so much more to you than the roles that society wants you to conform to. And you don't have to allow yourself to fit in those boxes. People may still try to put you there, but that's on them. That's not on you. And the more you allow yourself to take control and take control of what you can control, the more you'll feel freer to release what you can't. So, okay, we're gonna go deeper into advice now, because that was a lecture and a half. And the thing I want to say about comforting messages is that sometimes those messages aren't very comforting to hear, but they bring the comfort that you need. So, Spirit, what other messages do you have for pile 1 that they need to hear at this time? Okay, yeah. So there's a need to be a Hufflepuff towards yourself, you know, to be patient, to be loyal to yourself, and be dedicated to your own growth and evolution. You know, you're a wonderful person, but I don't think you extend your wonderful qualities to yourself. It's like you deserve the love that you so freely give to others. You know what I mean? We also have almost ready. So I definitely think that Spirit is saying that you are headed towards a new beautiful change in your life, but there's a need to be patient and recognize, like, you don't want to take the brownies out of the oven too early. Then, well, they might be like a warm brownie soup. So maybe, listen, okay, if you're cooking something and you want it to taste the way that it'll taste the best when you take it out at a certain time, the universe is going to keep you cooking until you're ready, until you're ready for the next step. So there's a need to not rush the process and recognize that the universe doesn't always work on your time, and that's okay. What else? Being different isn't a bad thing. Yeah, there's a need to not shame yourself for your differences, and you know, maybe if you were really eccentric as a kid or you were different, you know, you might feel a little bit of shame towards those parts of yourself, towards being or acting different. And I think one thing your guides are trying to say is that, especially if you're an adult and you're on your own, you have the freedom now to embrace all your weirdness, to embrace all the different parts of you, and to embrace the fact that you are so much more than one defined role. The only person holding you back from doing that is you. And it's okay to be different. It's okay to not relate to a lot of people. And it's hard when you're growing up to be different. I know that. I know that from experience. But what you need to know is that circumstances always change, and whatever you're dealing with right now won't be what you're dealing with forever. But what you're dealing with right now is preparing you for what you'll be dealing with in the future. And the more that you develop proper coping mechanisms, ways to check in with yourself, ways to evolve and grow and improve, the more that you'll realize that life is really like, it's not about, you know, these euphoric experiences or these, you know, great accomplishments. It's so much more about the journey and just the everyday experience of living and being human, and recognizing your eccentricities and your individualities, and recognizing that you are allowed to have differences. You are allowed to be your own unique self. And the beautiful thing about being your own unique self is that you bring something to the table that literally nobody else on the planet does. And while it's hard to stand out, you don't need to stand out in front of others. You can nurture your weird side all on your own. You don't need others to validate your weird side in order for it to be a part of you. The only person that needs your validation is yourself. Any other validation is not going to be as effective and is not going to reach, it's not going to help you get to the outcome that you're looking for. Is there anything else, Spirit, from this deck? Yes, your guides love you so much. And they also want you to ask for help when you need it. Don't rely on yourself to do everything for you. Like, that's just not realistic. And I think you need to know that there are loving forces that are rooting for you, that want you to succeed. And the more that you believe in that and recognize that, the more you will see evidence of that in your 3D reality. So I just cut the deck and saw protected from all evil. So I think you do need to know that you are being protected, and that there may be things that have happened that you felt like, oh, maybe maybe this happened as a punishment or something like that. And I feel like your guides really want you to know that they're not in the business of punishing you. They're not in the business of making you feel like crap. Like, they're in the business of helping you grow and evolve and becoming your best self, so that you can live life in a way that's most aligned with you. And yeah, I just don't believe in the idea that the universe inherently punishes us. Our actions may have consequences, but it's our actions that we have free will over. You know what I mean? So, Spirit, what final advice do you have for pile 1, please? What do they need to know at this time? We have feelings change, but they don't disappear. Yeah. So this is literally kind of reconfirming what I was saying about, you know, your feelings. You can't just pretend like your emotions aren't there. Like, they're always going to resurface. You're always going to have feelings, but they will change and they will pass. You know, feelings, like I said, they're data. Use them as such, not as definitions of your worth or your ability to be a good human. We also have Moon, mother, vulnerability, comfort zone, emotions. So there's a need to mother yourself. If you have a good relationship with your mother, Spirit might be encouraging you to reach out to them, to talk to them, if that is somebody that you can be vulnerable with. If you're looking for a counselor or something like that, it might be good to look for somebody who either is feminine in nature or has a very like motherly energy to them. But also, you know, I do think that there is just a need to also recognize To understand your moon sign in astrology and to understand how your moon sign affects you, it would also be beneficial to look at how the moon cycles and the moon phases affect you as well. But I think one thing that you need to know is that forcing yourself to stay within your comfort zone when it comes to how you deal with your emotions and things like that kind of goes to show that not much is going to change if you continue to do the same things over and over. Yeah, as I say that, we have stay flexible. So I think Spirit is really asking you to be open to the idea, especially if you have any Virgo energy, because I will say, as a Virgo moon, I know how hard this is, but sometimes, you know, the universe might work differently from your plans. And, you know, this is also Mercury energy. And so I think that there is a need to be flexible with how you talk to yourself and recognize where maybe you're being unfair to yourself or being unkind to yourself. And also to recognize that you may need to be able to go with the flow a little bit more. You might like to feel like you're always in control as a way to feel safe. And I think the universe is saying when you let go of that control, you may realize that life feels a lot lighter and freer than it did originally. We also have 3 weeks, months, years. So that could be a timing thing for you that you may want to know about. And on the back of the deck, we have, you don't need me, but I'll be there. And I totally think that these are your guides saying that you've got everything that you need, but we're still there for you. And I'm hearing like the Friends theme song in my head. So maybe if that's something that brings you comfort, you might want to maybe watch that. But pile 1, I'm going to leave this reading here. I know this is a bit different from my typical readings, but I just kind of wanted to do something different today. So thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for watching my ads. That is the simplest and easiest way to support me. But if you'd like to support me in other ways, you can like this video, you can comment down below, let me know how it resonates. You can subscribe if you haven't already and click that little notification bell to be part of my notification squad. If you want me to see your comments, I will more likely see it when I first upload videos. But I also have social media. Just do be aware there are tons of scammers impersonating me on Instagram right now. So if it's not linked below, it's not mine. My only @ on Instagram is @realesotaro, REALESOTAROT. Nothing else is me, and I do not offer personal readings. So that is all I have for you guys. Thank you so much for being here and for letting me read your cards. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, pile 2. If you guys chose the green bear, it has Thursday written on its foot, if that is a confirmation to anyone. This is going to be your reading. So what I am going to do first is look at what this little card says to give me kind of an idea of what the theme or the topic of this reading is going to be. So for you guys, we have you win. And actually, as I was about to start this reading, Jack Black's voice kind of came in my head. From the movie School of Rock, where I was hearing like, how can you kick me out from what is mine? And I do feel like for some of you, you may have experienced some difficult circumstances that were like out of your that came out of left field for you, or that felt like a real kick in the butt from the universe, or just like a real hurtful situation. And I think Spirit's saying you're going to come out on top, and there's reasons why certain things had to happen. But for anyone that picked this pile, I think what you need to know is that whatever you're going through right now, you will come out on top, and that in fact you deserve to come out on top. And it's these intense trials and tribulations that you're going through that are not only going to make your win sweeter, but also teach you a lot of important lessons on the way, and it will show you why you won, in the sense that you have the integrity, the drive, the ability to come out on top even when things are really challenging. So I'm going to go ahead now and pull some tarot cards to see what the universe wants to say specifically about this. Pile 1's reading was like 45 minutes, and I didn't even realize it. Just got lost in the channeling sauce. So we'll see how long y'all's is, but I'm not timing these, so we'll see what Spirit needs to say. So Spirit, for pile 2, what comforting messages can you give them at this time that they need to hear, please? Okay. We have the 8 of Wands. we have the Star, and we have the Empress. I feel excitement. I feel like so much excitement right now. What are you planning? Can I like be there? I like want to cheer you on. Oh, okay. We have the Three of Cups and we have the Tower. Okay. I want to put this underneath here, but part of me wonders if there could have been some difficulties with friendships for some of you, where maybe there could have been friends that kind of yanked the rug out from under your feet, or just really kind of out of nowhere hurt you or betrayed you in some way. And I think Spirit's saying this was just them showing their true colors. Yeah, okay, so we have the Four of Cups. We have the Page of Wands. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. We also have the Two of Pentacles and the Nine of Swords. Okay, what's on the back of the deck? Oh, yeah, we have the Ten of Cups. Oh, this is such a sweet Ten of Cups card. So Spirit is saying, no matter what's going on in your life, no matter how angry at Spirit you might be, everything that's happening to you right now is out of love. And even like your little bear is like, hi, Pile 2, I love you. Giving you kisses. And I think what you need to know is that sometimes the universe can divinely redirect us, and it might feel like a slap in the face. It might feel like a spank on the ass, and not the good kind. Oh my gosh, you guys have this silly energy. I love it. And you may feel like you may have trouble understanding why certain things are happening in your life right now, or why what you thought was so solid is falling away. And that's entirely because what you felt secure in was a tower built on illusions. So the tower moment was always meant to happen, essentially. And what your guides are saying is that they are directing you towards this Ten of Cups, and there may be a beautiful relationship involved here. It is quite possible for some of you, like maybe there were people that intervened in this connection or something like that, or maybe you were in a relationship with someone and you realized that they weren't as transparent as you thought they were, that they weren't as upfront as you thought that they were. And I think Spirit is saying, you know, you're on the side of the divine. We want to see you succeed. And so when there's something that's not worth your time or energy, we are going to yank it so far away from you. And you might be like, why? You know, it's kind of like being a child and seeing candy and wanting candy, but the universe is like, no, you're getting vegetables. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, I want candy. Like, why can't I have the... And the universe is like, because the vegetables are what's actually going to help you. The candy is not. The candy's going to feel good, and then it's going to make you feel like shit. And I think that maybe you've had a lot of candy in your life and not a lot of good, sturdy root vegetables. Maybe literally. But on a figurative level, I do think that there are maybe... some fair-weathered friends or people that were in your life, or that I honestly, I don't feel like these people are still in your life. I feel like for some of you, they could be, or they could be trying to come back in, but that's something that's entirely up to you. But I think what your guides are saying is that we didn't tear your tower down for you to feel like a loser and feel like shit. We tore your tower down because your current tower was not going to let you achieve what you wanted. Your current foundation wasn't solid. And so, and the proof of that is the fact that it all went to shit so quickly, or it all fell apart so quickly. And it's like, it's almost like it came out of nowhere for you, and you're like, how could all this happen? And Spirit's really saying, you know, you haven't messed anything up. You haven't done anything wrong. We're literally just redirecting you to where you need to go. Because I think that the experiences you had with these people or in these places were very necessary. But I think there's also a need to recognize, like, for example, there could have been like a romantic interest that was maybe kind of blowing smoke up your butt, or trying to portray themselves to be something that they're not. And I think Spirit's saying, like, we were always going to shatter that illusion, because we were never going to let you stay with somebody or be around somebody that didn't have your best interests at heart. And they want you to have those same beliefs as well. Because what I'm seeing here, especially with this Empress and this Two of Pentacles, is that you're working really, really hard right now. You may be spread very thin. For some of you, you could be single parents, or you could just be really exhausted and just trying to keep going. And it's quite possible that for some of you, these experiences from your past are like way in your past at this point, but the ghost of them, like the reminders of them and things like that, still sting. And I think Spirit is reminding you that they were a part of your journey, but they weren't meant to be the whole journey. They're meant to be like a pit stop. You're meant to learn some things, but if they get in the way of your true emotional fulfillment, then they're never meant to be there in the first place. And what I'm seeing here is that a lot of these experiences are getting you to the point where you are not only recognizing that you deserve better, but the recognition that you deserve better is helping you get into the energy of aligning with the fact that you deserve to come out on top, that you deserve to win, so to speak. And the thing is that doesn't mean that there's necessarily losers at all, but what you win is something so much more valuable than what the people that were trying to tear you down will receive, you know, because they're in much more negative energies. They don't have the same depth, the same ability to connect with Spirit, the same ability to see the truth of life as you do. And you may not see clearly all the time, but when you don't see clearly, you best believe the Spirit's going to come and rip that blindfold off your eyes and be like, look, this is the truth. Might hurt, but that's what you need in order to get what it is you truly want. And I think that you may be struggling with anxiety over, or just worries or fears of like, well, what if I never find, you know, true happiness? Or what if I never find friends? Or what if my old friends are like talking crap about me or something like that? First of all, let them talk. Let them waste their energy on that stuff. You don't need to be worried about that. But also, your fears are just that, fears, and they don't have any basis in reality. And it's okay to have doubts. It's okay to have fears. But what I think you need to know is that endings are really just new beginnings. And the more you embrace the idea that you don't have to have full control over your life path and hand it over to Spirit, the easier it will be to have hope and faith in what the universe is trying to bring you. The less expectations you have over what it is you're going to receive, and just trust that you're receiving what you're meant for and what you deserve, the easier and quicker a lot of these blessings can come to you. I also think that you may be so, for some of you, I feel like some of these difficulties are so far in the past, but you're not able to enjoy your present because you're still worried about them in one way or another. And I think that Spirit might be saying, if the sheer memory or the sheer thought of these people or these past experiences impedes on your ability to be happy and comfortable and safe, that's a sign that maybe you need to ask for help, or maybe you need to go talk to someone about it, or get some sort of assistance, because it's not helping you now in your life. And having these fears over things that exist in your past are really not going to benefit you in any way. I think what your guides really want you to know is that you're doing great. You need to be patient with yourself, and you need to give yourself more time and energy to focus on you. You might be honestly trying to escape your own responsibilities by diving deep into other people, by trying to help other people, or focusing on others, or focusing on things around you, and you might just be prolonging this energy that you don't even really want to sit in anyway, that is really just wearing you out and exhausting you. I think what you need to know is that your progress of evolution is going to be a bit slower, not because it takes you a while to integrate things, but because you're spread really thin right now. Whatever it is that you're doing, it seems like you've got a lot of different responsibilities on your plate, and if you're not able to take any of those responsibilities off. If you are able to take some off, I would be aware of maybe where you could do that and give yourself more of a break. But if you're not able to get rid of any of these responsibilities, it's important to recognize that you're a lot of your energy has to be focused and dedicated towards getting through each day, doing what it is you need to do, and that is going to leave less time and energy for your own development and growth, and that's okay. You don't need to be so dead set and so focused on what it is that you need to be doing next. Sometimes you can just go with the flow and have hope, because from what I can see with the Empress and the Two of Pentacles, you are naturally evolving into a wonderful person and somebody who's more confident in themselves, somebody that trusts the cycles of life more, somebody that trusts their own intuition more, somebody that trusts the person that they're becoming. And I think one beautiful thing that you're doing to help with that is not giving up. That's really what makes you such a winner, is the fact that you're not giving up. You may get tired, you may take a break, you may shut down for a little bit, but you always get back up. And I think what you need to know, what your guides are trying to tell you is, remember that insanity is the definition of doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. And so if you're doing the same things over and over again and trying to get a different outcome than what you've already had, maybe it's time to readdress what isn't working. Because I do think that you may be taking action in ways that you hope will be effective, but you don't even really have an answer to whether they are or not. And there's also maybe you need to be aware of how you may be escaping yourself by putting so many responsibilities on yourself. But I think what Spirit really wants, like what your goal should be right now, is kind of in this Star Page of Wands energy. It's this factor of knowing, like, yes, you have responsibilities. Yes, you have things that hurt you. Yes, you have things that make you feel weak, things that make you feel stressed, things that make you just feel crappy, if I'm being honest. But that doesn't have to be what defines you. That you can, on the days where you're free and you're motivated, go do something that is only for you. On the days when you're really struggling, that's when it's good to, have hope and faith in the universe and trust that there's something greater than you that is bringing you to a point better than you ever dreamt possible. I think there's a need to recognize that magic does exist and that dreams can come true, but they may not come true in the way that you envisioned them or the way that you hoped. But Spirit will always bring you something that's better than what you thought it was if it's not what you wanted. And I think it's important to know that you're in the process now of building a new tower with a stronger foundation that Spirit isn't going to want to tear down. Because the fact of the matter is that it's not going to come down if it's a sturdy tower. It's not going to be stripped away from you if it's solid. The only towers that get knocked down are towers of illusions that were never meant to be there. That may have been your own creation or the creation of those around you that you agreed with and went along with. But I think the biggest thing that you may be worried about is everything other than yourself. And I think Spirit is saying, that's really what's stopping you from feeling more secure in this limbo of uncertainty and fear. And I think one thing that you need to remember is that the universe does love you very, very, very much. And they are not just going to put harsh experiences in your way to punish you or something like that. That's not how the universe works. The universe is always conspiring for the highest good of all. And you're included in all. So the more you try to align with Spirit's vision of what the highest good is for you and for all, the more the universe can kind of get to work and can kind of guide you on that way. There's a need to be open-minded about what will actually bring you happiness, because there may be very narrow ideas of what you think will make you happy, but you're not open-minded to different ways of doing things. And as a result, you might be kind of wearing yourself out a little bit because you're like, I just want to feel better. I want to feel good. But then you do the same things over and over again that don't yield those results. And that's not something you need to be upset at yourself for or shame yourself for. It's just something to be aware of so that you can, step in and say, okay, this isn't working. Let's try something new. But I do think that there is a huge need to nurture yourself. And if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're not getting enough water, if you're not getting enough rest, those are the things that you need to address first. You don't need to be worried about who your soulmate is or what your next step is in XYZ. It's more so like, okay, is your body functioning? Let's focus on that first. Are you giving your body what it needs? Are you sitting in your body? Are you nurturing yourself? Are you allowing time to do its work for you? Because I think one thing that you may be struggling with as well is patience, and patience for the process, because, you know, things that take a while to build can be torn down really quickly, and that's scary. But what you need to know is that you're doing amazing, but you have to stop looking at what is in front of you right now and believing that that is the entire truth. It's not fair to yourself to jump to conclusions before you've even gone anywhere. It's like the tortoise and the hare. If you looked at the race between the tortoise and the hare at the beginning, you would assume that the hare is going to win. But if you know the story, the hare gets caught up with themselves, you know, is so reliant on the fact that they're going to win that the tortoise wins. And the tortoise did it slow and steady and won the race. So what you really need to know is that you don't need to be judging yourself based on where you're at. Don't compare yourself to other people's journeys and what other people are doing, because it just doesn't matter. What matters is your journey. And your journey is not going to look the same as every other person's journey. That's okay. You don't have to have the same journey. You don't have to figure things out in the same way. You don't have to be the person that you admire, but you can emulate the aspects of that person that you admire, right? There's just a need to recognize where maybe you're looking for solutions, but you're like looking in the same places for those solutions instead of thinking outside the box and trying something different. So let's go ahead and see what else Spirit would say to you guys, pile 2. Because really, I think more than anything, I think you know all this stuff deep down. I think it's just hard, and sometimes it might be hard to like deal with like your ego, in the sense that like your ego may want things a certain way or may want them at a certain time. And it's more so just trusting your heart and your soul that you don't need confirmation in the physical to know what you feel is real. It will unfold as it is meant to. You don't need to be, you know, checking the progress of your manifestations and things like that. The universe is way more effective than any human system on this planet. And I promise you, the universe sees things, overhears conversations. They see so much more than you do. And you can trust the universe to guide you in the right direction. And you can trust yourself to lead you in what you feel is right. It's our choices that show us who we truly are. And so Spirit is really saying you do have a choice in how you act. You may not be able to control what happens, but you do get to choose how you go about things. And it's the choices that you make, especially when things don't go in your favor, that really show you where you're at in terms of your progress, in terms of the person you're becoming, in terms of your maturation. We also have Polyjuice. It's time to change. Yeah, Spirit's really saying, if you are so capable of achieving the things that you want to achieve, but if you expect to do that doing the same old thing you've always done, you're going to have a really hard time changing. And I think what you need to know is that some of this change is going to happen naturally, but if there are things that you are doing to almost punish yourself or to make you feel like you need to be doing more or be more, you might be just creating more stress than it's worth. You know, you might be way harder on yourself than is necessary. And I feel like the universe really wants to support you in this dream that you have, in this journey that you're shooting for. But what Spirit is saying is that we can't get there. You know, if you want to be a race car driver, but you're driving a beat up old truck, you know, it might be time to change cars or do something to change cars, because, you know, you're not gonna get very far with that truck. You know what I mean? There's no shame in having that truck. It's just that if that's what your dream is, might need to do some shifting, might need to do some saving, might need to do some spending. Like, there is a need to go out to recognize what are your dreams, what are you trying to achieve, what is within your control, and what is up to Spirit, and what can you do to take action towards the things that you can control, and what do you need to release to Spirit and trust that they will they will handle on their own. Because trust me, the divine does not miss anything. They are amazing. We also have being different isn't a bad thing. And so you may be feeling like afraid. So for example, I'll use myself as an example. When I decided to quit my job and do this, you know, a lot of people in my family were really hesitant. They didn't believe in me. They didn't know what was going to come from it, but I believed in me. And I had enough evidence and my own intuitive feelings to say, you know what, I think I can do this. And I think that I can achieve what I want to achieve. I don't even know what that is, but I know that if I keep following this, I know this is my path. And so I think Spirit's saying, just because you don't have other people to look up to or other people to guide you doesn't mean that you need people to guide you. Doesn't mean that you need reassurance. Doesn't mean that you need validation. The only validation you need is your own validation. And what you also need to know is that you don't need to follow the same path that everyone else follows. You can forge your own. It might be a little bit more difficult. It might be more exhausting, but it will be so much more worth it if it aligns with who you are and brings you that fulfillment that you're looking for. Because I think what you need to know is that happily ever after doesn't exist. You know, happily ever after is a trope, and there's no after until you reach the afterlife, whatever that is. So this whole life is just you're living, you're existing. And you got to stop looking at life like there's some finish line that you reach and then you're done. There's always going to be shit. There's always going to be stuff that you have to transcend and have to heal. But it's like the more that you grow, the more you allow yourself to grow, and stop being so dang hard on yourself for being different and not be afraid to take a little bit of risk, the more you realize that you have more power over your success and your own peace of mind than you previously thought. Yeah, so we have Aloha Mora open. So Spirit's saying we're trying to open doors for you, but if you don't walk through them, there's really nothing we can do on our end, you know? And we also have luck is self-belief. Yes, this is so true. Like, you might be feeling like, oh, I can't do this because I could never do that, or I don't have XYZ. It's stop looking at what other people have and look at what you have. Look at what you bring to the table. Look at what you can do, and recognize that, like, the only luck is literally a self-belief, in the sense that if you're like, I'm a lucky person, like things just align for me, everything's working out in my favor. Those are wonderful affirmations to be telling yourself. And I think Spirit is asking you not to close doors that are open to you just because you're afraid of walking through them, or just because you feel that you're not worthy of walking through them. Because the universe can leave the door open all they want, but if you're like, no, I can't walk through it because I don't deserve it, Spirit can't really do much with that. Like, they can't help you beyond that. That's your own wound to heal. That's not on Spirit. And we have almost ready on the back of the deck. So Spirit's really saying, like, you're ready for growth, you're ready for change, like you're ready for this, but you have to be ready. You have to be cognizant of it, and you have to trust that you have to trust that you can make decisions for yourself, and that even if they don't turn out the way that you wanted or the way that you hoped, you'll be okay, and that you know you'll be okay. But I'm going to finish this off with some Sailor Moon cards. So, Spirit, what advice would you like to leave pile 2 with? Okay, so we have the Moon, Mother, Vulnerability, Comfort Zone, Emotions. So I do think that there is a need to pay more attention to your emotions, maybe pay more attention to the moon cycles, but also recognize where you're forcing yourself to stay in your comfort zone because you're afraid of external unknowns. Like, I'll just use an example. Like, okay, so say you want to be a stand-up comedian, but you're afraid of public speaking. Well, that's going to be a huge barrier towards doing what you're doing, because obviously in order to do stand-up comedy, you need to stand up in front of people and speak. And so that's going to involve some inner work where, you know, maybe you do stand up and you bomb, but maybe you do amazing the next time. But if you stop after the first time you bomb, then you may just live your life believing that you weren't meant for that, when in reality you were just trying it out for the first time. There's a need to be aware of the fact that sometimes in order to grow, we have to be vulnerable, and we have to put ourselves in positions that we're not going to be comfortable with. I can say for myself, I wasn't necessarily very comfortable with the idea of putting myself out on the internet, but I trusted myself. I trusted what the universe was trying to tell me, and I really gained a lot from going out of my comfort zone and being vulnerable and doing this, you know. Has everyone been peachy to me? A good majority have, but that's not necessarily true. Like, when you put yourself out there, there's gonna be negative dickwads. Like, that's just part of life. There's a dickwad for every kind person. Well, no, I think that there's like, for like 10 kind people, there's one dickwad, and they can just be a bit louder because they're grump butts. But you don't need to worry about the grump butts. So there's always gonna be grump butts. There's always gonna be somebody that's tearing you down, telling you that you can't do what you want to do, or making you feel like you're not deserving of what you want to do. But there is always a space for you. You just have to hold on to that and believe that. You know, if you allow other people to convince you that you don't have a place somewhere, that you don't have a space somewhere, that is you just allowing them to affirm your reality. Do not let them affirm your reality. You are the master of your own reality. You are the magician of your own reality, and you deserve to create that reality. Nobody else gets to determine who you are but you. So we have storm is coming. Yeah. So I think Spirit's saying, if you don't make these changes, we're going to make them for you, because you're way too strong. You're way too capable to be holding yourself back like this. But I honestly don't even think that this is a bad storm. I think this is a positive storm, where Spirit's almost like creating the opportunities for you to have what you always wanted. It's about you taking those opportunities and running with them. We also have my power speaks for itself. Exactly. So Spirit is really saying, you don't need someone to validate your own power. Show up and be who you are. You don't need someone to make you feel more or less legit. You don't need somebody to tell you that you're good enough. You don't need somebody to tell you that you're worthy. You don't need any of that. And I think if there's one thing that I regret doing, is maybe giving away my power in situations where I didn't need to, where I felt like, oh, well, I need people to tell me that I'm good at what I do in order to know that it brings value or something like that. When I could have just been like, you know what, I'm just gonna do what I'm gonna do, and if people don't like it, that's fine. Which, I mean, is where I'm at now. But sometimes I think what you need to know is that you don't need to wait for an invitation to do something. You can just do it because you know in your heart that you're ready to, or you know that in your heart you can go after what it is that you want. We also have Venus, love, beauty, harmony, physical contact. So if you're watching this when I upload it, we are going through Venus retrograde right now. So these could be big lessons for your Venus retrograde. But I think that the universe is also encouraging you to look in your life now and see where you already have love, to see where you already have beauty. Like, you know, if you can walk outside your door and see a beautiful flower, or see a cute puppy, or, you know, see a couple in love. Like, you know what's really interesting is, like, people give like Disney and stuff shit, which is very much deserved. But that manufactured happiness really does create good energy, in the sense that, like, when I've been there, like the last time I was there was 2 years ago, right before the pandemic. And I was in one of the worst places I'd ever been in my entire life. Like, just in a horrible, horrible place. And that manufactured happiness rubbed off on me. Like, it was a relief, and it brought me so much happiness to see, like, kids, like, their eyes light up with joy when they saw their favorite character, to see, you know, couples in love, or families like getting together and having fun. Like, you know, sure, there's always going to be that kid that's crying because they want a certain toy and they don't get it, or there's cranky this or that. But, like, if you pay attention, there's so much beauty and love around you all the time, and it can actually rub off on you in positive ways. And what I will say is that when I was there, you know, in one of the worst states of my life, like, I felt so blessed to be there. I felt so blessed to be around other people that were having good experiences, and you know, which I was having good experiences too. But, like, you know, internally I was struggling, and it was so beneficial for me to just be around good energy, to be around happiness and love. And, you know, I wouldn't have gotten those experiences if I had just isolated myself from the world. You know, even though I was in pain, it didn't negate the fact that I was still in pain, that I was still struggling, that I was still suffering, but it did make the fact that I was suffering and struggling a little bit easier, in the sense that I kind of realized, you know, this isn't going to be forever. And when I surround myself with better energies, that will have a positive effect on me so long as I allow myself to receive it. Now, if I had been in a place where I was like, no, everything is the worst and blah, 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 then yeah, I probably wouldn't have received any of that good energy because I wouldn't have been open to it. That's why it's important to be open to receiving, because if you don't think you're worthy of receiving, then you're just reaffirming the idea that you didn't deserve good things in the first place, and that's a freaking lie. And we also have Mars, so aggression, action, desire, and passion. So I think Spirit is saying, you know, go after what you want. Don't be afraid to fight for it. Don't be afraid to achieve what you want. You can get what you want in a balanced approach. But there's a lot here with your personal placement. So I would say if you haven't dug into your birth chart, I would do that. I would even go so far as to getting an astrology reading from someone. Like, having someone sit down with you and really explain your chart can really help you understand yourself and help you understand like your limitations or challenges, barriers, but also things that you're naturally good at. I think there's a need to just understand yourself better and also recognize that there's only one you, and the only reason you may believe that you can't succeed or reach your wildest dreams is because you haven't done it yet. You got to give yourself the opportunity to do it. And if you don't do it the first time, and do it again and do it again and do it again, because each time you will do better than you did before and you will get closer than you thought. But on the back of the deck, we have make the first move towards destiny. And I think that this is Spirit really saying, like, we've got your back. We want to help you. Do not listen to those people that tore you down or made you feel like you couldn't be your best self or that you couldn't do XYZ. You know, that's them projecting their own insecurities onto you. That's not something that you need to be worried about. But more than anything, I think you just need to know that anything that feels like it's unfairly taken from you was something that was never meant to be yours in the first place, because the universe will give you your blessings on a silver platter and you'll know in your heart that they're yours. But I think what you need to know is that you're worthy of receiving those things, and that you're worthy of a life even better than the one that you've dreamed of. So pile 2, I am going to leave your reading here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that this was comforting. I hope that this was helpful. I'm honestly like kind of in and out with the energy, in the sense that like I'm only kind of half present right now, so I hope it resonates. If it does, feel free to let me know down below in the comments. Like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much to everybody who watches my ads. That is the simplest and easiest way to support me. But if you'd like to support me in other ways, you can do the things I just listed. You can check out my merch, which is linked down below. You can also check out my social media, though do be aware I have tons and tons and tons of scammers pretending to be me. So if it's not linked below, it's not mine. My only account is at Real Ace of Tarot, and I do not offer personal readings. So anybody pretending to be me offering you a personal reading is not me. But yeah, that's all I have. Thank you so much for letting me read your cards. I hope that this was helpful, and I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye. Hi there, pile 3. If you guys chose the blue bear, he also has Tuesday written on his foot, if that is a sync or confirmation for anyone. This is going to be your reading on comforting messages from the universe. I will say just straight off the bat, some of these messages may not be comforting in delivery, but the guidance that they're offering brings true comfort in acting on it. But we're going to start by looking at this card to see what your guides want to talk about, what the universe wants to talk about. So for you guys, we have, this is your best work. So I really just want to commend everyone that picked this pile, because I think no matter where you are in life, you really are putting your best foot forward, and also at the same time you're being realistic with yourself in terms of what you can actually achieve and what is overextension, if that makes sense. I feel like if you're in school, I think you're doing really well, or you're finally finding solutions to struggles that you've had in order to be your best self. If you are starting your own business, or if you are in a job that you really like, I think that this is Spirit saying, you know, that you're exactly where you need to be, you're in alignment. But if none of that resonates, then I would say that you're getting to a point in your own self journey where you're becoming your best self. You are being the best version of you. I just heard alchemy, so you're really alchemizing yourself and you're becoming the best version of yourself. And I think that's because you're starting to live in your truth. Like Mr. Blue Bear, you know, blue often represents the throat chakra, which represents truth, honesty, spoken word, things like that. And I think that part of the reason why you're doing so well is because you're finally being honest with yourself and you're not placing unrealistic expectations on yourself that you couldn't possibly achieve on your own, or you're no longer putting so much pressure on yourself to achieve things that are like a little too intense for one person to bear. I think, to bear. Anyway, I definitely think that you're in a place where you're really hitting your stride, and I think that your guides really just want to commend you on how far you've come and how much you've grown. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the tarot now and see what else your guides or the universe, I said the universe, but like I think your guides are coming through really strongly, specifically in this pile. But what does the universe want pile 3 to know? What comforting messages do they have? Okay, we have the 7 of Cups. We have my hair on the table. Man, come on. We have the 8 of Pentacles. We have the High Priestess. We have the 2 of Cups. Can we get clarifiers for all of these, Spirit? Okay. We have the Queen of Pentacles and we have the Fool. Clarify the 8 of Pentacles. We have Judgment. We have the Empress. Wow, a lot of major arcanas. And one more. Can we clarify the 2 of Cups, please? Wow, okay, we have the Magician. Big energies. Holy schmoly. And we have the 7 of Pentacles underneath that, which I almost feel is significant, but I'm just going to take it as something to note. Let's see what is on the back of the deck. Okay, we have the 9 of Swords on the back of the deck, which I actually think makes a lot of sense. Okay. So, tale as old as time. Pile 3's being hard on themselves, even though they're doing amazing. Shocker. And I only say this not to be disparaging or to make fun of you. I say this because this is so human, and I feel like your guides are really coming through right now to just tell you how proud they are of you. With the Queen of Pentacles here, I definitely see this as you. Like, I feel like even if you're on the younger side, you're reaching a point where you are finding your stride, where you're feeling comfortable in who you are, and you're starting to accept the truth of who you are. You're starting to recognize that you have worth, you're deserving of receiving good things, and that you shouldn't have to settle for something that doesn't fill you with joy or something that doesn't align with what is your truth. And what I see here with the 7 of Cups and the Fool is that of course you still don't have it all figured out, and I think your guides are really coming through to say it's okay not to have it all figured out. I'm actually going to use a small analogy for this. I don't know if I've talked about this before. It's not like it's very significant, but I was driving one night and it got like really foggy all of a sudden. And if you live in the Midwest, or honestly, if you live anywhere out in the country, you know when you're driving at night, the one thing you're looking for is deer, or really anything that would run out in front of your car. And I just got super nervous, like really quickly. I was like, fuck, like there's so much, fog. And, one of my guides came into my head and was like, you've driven on this road 1,000,000 times, okay? You don't need to know what's 500 feet ahead of you. Just focus on what you can look at. It's okay that the rest of it is foggy. All you need to do is focus on what's directly in front of you. You can still see the lines, the lanes to keep you in line in the lane. That's all you need, and the fog will clear. And it was just this really powerful moment for me where I was like, okay, holy shit, well, first of all, you're right. And second, like, this is a wonderful analogy for life, because you may be on a new road, you may be doing something new. I think that you've come through a lot of really difficult circumstances and you've come out on top. You've grown very gracefully, you've grown very well, and you really should be very proud of how far that you've come. But I do think that there's this fear of like, well, what if I'm still not seeing things correctly? What if I still have more lessons to learn? Like, what if the universe is going to rip the rug out from underneath me? And the universe is saying that part of this is fear. This is actually fear coming from you rather than a feeling of like an intuitive feeling. Because there is this beautiful aspect to you where you remain open. You try not to assume or place expectations on what your next step is. But your guides are asking you to affirm your blessings a little bit harder and affirm that you are deserving of good things a little bit harder. Because I think that you're afraid that you're just supposed to put in all this hard work and then have it ripped away from you for no reason. And this is definitely your fear. This is you being a little too cerebral at times. But what's really beautiful is no matter what your gender identity or biological sex is, we do energy, not sexes on this channel. Your feminine energy is really coming in to a very beautiful place. Having the High Priestess be clarified by the Empress, I think you're really learning how to surrender to like the flow of the universe and trust the process. I also think you're recognizing that you don't have to do the job of the universe for it. Like, sometimes you are not going to know what the answer is going to be. Sometimes you're not going to know what the next step is, and that's absolutely okay. I think that you are either manifesting like a spiritual partner, or you're learning how to become your own best partner. Because for some of you, that may not even be on your radar right now. But I think that you're learning how to integrate all parts of yourself and actually wield what you want out of life. I think you're recognizing that you have so much more power than you give yourself credit for. And now that you're starting to actually embrace your power and stand in your power, you're starting to see that power unfold into the physical reality. And that can be really scary in the sense that you're building all this for yourself. But what if I lose it? What if it goes away? And I think what your guides want you to know is that that is so much more a fear than anything else. As long as you are being responsible, as long as you are, not acting in very erratic ways to self-sabotage yourself, you really have nothing to be worried about right now. You are in a very comfortable position in the sense that if your basic needs are being met and you're doing pretty well for yourself, this is your pile. If not, I do not think this is your pile, because everybody here, I think, is really just more tortured by the pain of their past than they are like really worried about any real threats in their present. Like, I think that you've been working really, really hard, and it's almost like you're afraid that one day the universe is going to jump out and be like, haha, psych loser, you actually suck, and all this hard work, it was for nothing, and like, you're lame, and you're not going to get anything. And guess what? None of that is true. All of that is this Nine of Swords fearful energy, where you are being mindless in the sense that your subconscious fears are rising to the surface in ways that are causing you to maybe act out of fear, or causing you to feel like you're not as successful or not as well off as you actually are. With the Two of Cups here, I definitely think as well, you're really learning how to heal codependency, as well as like if you're already in a relationship, I think that you're recognizing where like you can't project things onto your partner, where it's unfair to expect so much from your partner and expect them to check all these different boxes. I think you're recognizing that different people can meet different needs, and that you still have to be involved in meeting your own needs. And what I think is really beautiful about this pile is that I think you're learning how to have healthy relationships with other people, which is just something that's not only incredibly important, but will also set you up for success in the future. because while you're building all this success, you really don't want to share this success with somebody that doesn't have your best interests at heart. You know, if they're manipulative, if they're a leech, something like that, you know, you're not going to want them in your life. Like, they're just going to create havoc. They're not really going to help much. And so what I think is very beautiful is that your guides are commending you on how far you've come and how much you've really worked to achieve what it is that you want. And I think what you need to know, one thing that I noticed is that we have the High Priestess, the Empress, and the Magician. And I always think of the High Priestess and Empress as divine feminine energy, and the Magician and the Emperor as divine masculine energy, because the Magician and the High Priestess kind of represent the spiritual aspects of divine femininity and divine masculinity, and the Empress and the Emperor represent the material, physical aspects of divine femininity and divine masculinity. And so I think the only component that you're missing is your Emperor energy. Now, Emperor energy would be part of your divine masculine energy, which I do think that you have your divine masculine energy down, in the sense that you are good at manifesting, you're good at making plans for what you want, you're good at envisioning the future and recognizing what it is that you deserve, what it is you want to cultivate. But I think you've brought all of this about and built your own throne, and now I feel like you're wondering if you deserve to sit in it. It's almost like going the extra 9 yards. I don't know why 9 is significant, but you're going the extra mile to build this beautiful throne, and then at the end of it, you're like, oh, I don't know if I deserve to sit on it though. And your guides are coming in to be like, pile 3, sit/stand in your power, damn it. Like, you didn't come all this way to humble yourself in the sense that you don't even give yourself or allow yourself to receive what you deserve. That's only your fear. It's only your sense of inadequacy that's making you feel like you don't deserve all these blessings that you have rightfully been cultivating for yourself. I think that you massively underestimate how far you've come and how much you've learned. You may feel like you're still a noob at this stuff, but I would say at the very least you're an intermediate. Like, you've come a long, long way, and it's time to stop seeing yourself from a beginner's mindset. A beginner's mindset can be useful, yes, but you're not at that place anymore. You don't need training wheels. You know, you don't need the shit when you go bowling, like those like little fence things that they put up. You know, you can have a gutter ball. It's okay. You'll survive if your ball ends up in the gutter. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to be so worried about making a mistake or messing something up. You really are creating more fear than is necessary. And I think the universe is purposefully clouding your future, because right now you're just meant to focus on the present. You've already come so freaking far, dude. Like, there's literally no reason to be worried about what's like 2 years down the line from now. You have no reason to be living in the future and worrying about what's in the future, because not only have you come so far to heal things from your past, but it's like, now that you're in your present, you can't really enjoy the present moment because you're just so used to being hard on yourself. You're used to judging yourself. You're used to feeling like you should be doing more. And that's where it really is important to be working on your mindset. I think that's really been a huge theme in all these readings so far, even though they've been different. Your mindset is so important. And you know that kid that there's one in every freaking school that gets like a 95 on an exam, and they're like, oh my god, like, I got a 95, like, I can't believe that, I'm not perfect, I didn't get a perfect 100, and then everyone else is like, shut the fuck up, like, we didn't get a 95, we would be grateful for that. But that one person just has to like kind of rub it in, but at the same time like feel like they should have done better and like make everyone else feel like shit. That's kind of what you're doing to yourself. Like, like, you're doing so well, and then you're being like, oh my god, but like, this part wasn't perfect, or I didn't get the validation that I wanted from XYZ or something like that. And the universe is just being like, really? Like, they're performing so well. Like, what at this point do they have to critique? Which anyone with any Virgo placements will say there's always something to critique. But I think that, once again, you're being way too fucking hard on yourself. It's like, It's like your Christmas lights and you're trying to be a flower. It's like both are very beautiful, but your Christmas lights, you're beautiful in your own way. You don't need to be like a flower, okay? Like, you've got your own values, your own virtues. Stop shaming yourself for being something that you're literally not. Like, you can't force yourself to be something that you're not. And I think that there's a message here as well, that when it comes to your physical appearance, stop shaming yourself because you don't have certain attributes that other people have or that you wish that you had. You have your body. That's what you're working with. I mean, you can tweak and do what you want with it, but its purpose is, you know, you have eyes to help you see, a nose to help you smell, a mouth to help you eat and smile and talk. Like, you don't need to be worried about the size of your lips. The size of your lips do not determine your value or worth as a human. The size or shape of your nose does not determine your value or worth as a human being. Like, sure, you can do things to modify aspects of yourself, and that's your choice, and that's, if that's something that you want to do, I mean, like, do whatever you want. But I feel like you're finding flaws to criticize yourself for. You're finding excuses to keep yourself small, when everyone, including the universe, is saying, why are you keeping yourself small? Sit in your goddamn throne. Like, stop critiquing the fact that the throne has, like, maybe one gem off place that you're not necessarily nobody's paying attention to that. There is a real need for this pile to step into their power and recognize where your own mentality and your own limitations are stopping you from fully embracing this person that you already are and are continuing to become. It's very impressive. And I think, in fact, you're very afraid of being impressive because you're afraid of the insecurity of others around you and the insecurity of people tearing you down because they don't like seeing you succeed. That's their problem. With peace and love, they can eat shit. Like, they do not have any bearing on your worth or your success. Do not allow their little pity party to stop you from embracing who you are. That is such bullshit. I'm sorry. Like, it's got me a little bit heated right now because, like, other people's failures are not your responsibility. You don't need to keep evening out the playing field because you feel guilty for your own blessings. Trust that maybe you've gotten your own blessings for a reason, and they'll get theirs when it's their time. It's not your job to even out the playing field for everyone. It's not your job to dim yourself to make other people feel comfortable. If other people are uncomfortable, they can go inside or they can put on sunglasses. That's not your problem. You need to stop criticizing yourself for how other people receive you, because you will never, ever, 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 ever be able to change that. There's 1,000 versions of you in other people's minds, and you'll never live up to any of them. So you might as well just be yourself, but also recognize that you put in so much work to get here. Be proud of yourself. Be happy for yourself. Stop feeling like you need to put yourself down or be ashamed of your accomplishments or your successes because other people aren't at your level. That's something, okay, maybe not celebrate it, but celebrate the fact that you have come so far against so many different odds. And anybody who doesn't support you, like I said, can eat shit. Like, that's not very nice, but it's not your concern, is the point that I'm saying. You can just say that they're not worth your time with peace and love. I'm being a little bit aggressive about it, but that's only because I feel very defensive of you guys. And that's only because I feel like you're not seeing the reality of how far you've truly come and how much you've truly achieved. And I think one thing that you need to realize as well is that nobody did this but you. There was no other person. I mean, maybe the idea of another person, maybe somebody helped you, but you got here on your own. It took your action. It took your power of will. It took your divine presence and your ability to create and cultivate the life that you wanted. You are doing amazing things, and you need to start accepting that. And you need to accept the fact that other people who aren't doing amazing will want to shit on your amazing time because they're jelly that you're doing amazing and they're not. And that's not your problem, because guess what? They could be dedicating their time to being amazing and they're not. They're wallowing in their own self-pity, and let them have their pity party. It's not your job to be a part of it. It's not your job to come in and say, oh, well, it's okay because, like, I still struggle. And no, they don't deserve your time. They don't deserve your energy. And anything coming into your head that is telling you that you don't deserve what you've earned or you don't deserve the successes that you've achieved and the abundance that you've reaped, tell that shit to take a hike. You can be like, thanks for sharing, but I disagree. There's a real need to sit in reality and recognize that you're amazing and you're doing amazing things. And quite frankly, if I could, I would probably sit down and like be like, wake up, pile 3. What's wrong with you? Like, come on, you're amazing. Let's go. Like, and I'm not discounting mental health and issues like that. But if you are struggling there, you need to get help. I've already cultivated so much for yourself. Do you think that the last thing that you can do is ask for help? Like, you're capable of that. The same way you're capable of everything that you've done already. Stop selling yourself short and stop treating yourself like you're mediocre or subpar when you're amazing. You're amazing. I'm so over this energy already, in the sense that, like, you need to feel yourself. I'm over this. I'm over this energy of I'm not good enough and like, I'm going to keep myself small. No, stop it. You're not keeping yourself small. I'm going to give you one of those cookies from Alice in Wonderland and I'm going to make you get bigger, because like, you are bigger. You're so much bigger than you give yourself credit for. And I'm so tired of catty, shitty people in everyone's lives making the people that are actually working on themselves feel like they need to be smaller. It's bullshit. It's complete fucking bullshit. And I know I'm swearing a lot in this pile. I'm sorry. But like, I'm angry. I'm angry not at you, but I'm angry at how the world has made you believe that you need to keep yourself small. Because there are plenty of people that don't achieve what you achieve and yet put forth so much more and are unafraid to be who they are, which is great. Good for them. But you deserve that too. And it's good to be self-reflective. It's good to be aware of your strengths and your weaknesses, but it's like you look at your strengths as like nothing and your weaknesses as everything, and that's just, you're gonna literally shoot yourself in the foot over and over and over and over again so long as you live that way. You're never gonna see your blessings, and then one day you're gonna look back and be like, wow, I can't believe I was so hard on myself. I really created a lot more stress than I needed to. You're literally hurting yourself with how you stress yourself out, with how you sell yourself short, and it's just so unfair to you. So stop doing it. Like, stop. Like, I know this isn't comforting, but like, the real comfort that you need is the recognition that you're being a dick to yourself for no reason, when in reality, you're doing amazing. And like, you need to recognize that you're doing amazing. Stop being so mean to yourself. And if you can't stop being mean to yourself on your own, you need to get help. I'm not saying how you need to get help. I trust that you can figure that out on your own, but you need to get help, because you cannot continue to live life this way and be doing so well and yet on the inside feel so crappy. That's not fair to you. That's not fair to the universe. That's not fair to anyone. You deserve to feel as good as you seem on the outside, and to recognize that your external success, while not a representation of your worth, is the universe showing you not only do you deserve what you've been working so hard for, but that you did this all on your own and that you've made a real impact the way that you are. It's amazing, and you need to start seeing yourself as amazing. I will come for you if you don't start recognizing how wonderful you are. You might feel like I'm coming for you, and good, because you deserve to be come for, because you're not being good to yourself. Somebody's got to defend you. Peace and love, of course. But, okay. Whew, I'm heated. My throat chakra's on overdrive. So let's get some more advice for you guys. So Spirit, what else do you want to say? I'm sorry, I got so heated. And see, like, you can literally just apologize to yourself. Be like, I'm sorry I've been so hard on you. I'm sorry I haven't been recognizing your successes. I just need you to like project your very existence into like another body and recognize from an unbiased perspective how much you've done and how far you've come. Like, pretend you are a friend, and like a friend that you love very, very much, which you should think of yourself as a friend you love very, very much. And recognize all that you've done and all that you've achieved. You're amazing. Like, stop selling yourself short. I just don't have time for this energy, because it's like on paper you're doing amazing, and the only thing holding you back is your mentality. That's like I don't even know what that's like, but it's not like very good. That's what I will say. Okay. Yeah, we have the next great adventure. You are ready for the next thing. You have reached a point in your life where you're ready for something grander. And it's like the things in your past that brought you down, they're not meant to come with you. And like the mentalities that made you feel crappy, that made you feel like you weren't enough, like they're not meant to stick with you on your journey. You're becoming someone so much more solid and self-sufficient, and your brain or just the way that you're talking to yourself does not match your reality at all. And that's what makes it even more delusional, that you're being so cruel to yourself. And I think that's why I'm getting so angry, is because like you're not seeing your situation accurately at all. And I need you to wake up in the sense that you're doing so well and you're doing amazing. And like, stop being so hard on yourself. I solemnly swear that I am up to no good. Yeah, like I really feel like, so obviously this is referencing the Marauders map, and it's like, I feel like you need to recognize that like you don't need to justify why you do everything. Like you don't need, like not everything that you do needs to benefit somebody else. Like it can just benefit yourself. Yeah. And if you have been using substances to escape, I think it's time to, you know, really focus on getting rid of things that don't serve you. I do think that there are people like in your life or on your radar who may be not so great influences. So I do think that Spirit is saying to maybe set boundaries with those types of people and be careful. But I really think that Spirit is saying is that you don't have to have a justification for like every single thing that you do. You can just do something because it's fun. You can just do something because you want to do it. Like you don't have to do everything. You don't have to be so self-sacrificing all the time. You don't have to, you know, constantly be thinking of others. You're allowed to think of yourself sometimes. You're allowed to worry about you. We also have, it's our choices that show us who we truly are. And that's the thing as well, is you may be defining yourself to your past experiences, but look at where you are now. Like, you're in such a better place. Like, why are you going to define yourself based on that? Because that's not even real anymore. That's not even your life anymore. And you didn't make choices based upon that to make your life worse. You made choices based upon that to make your life better. And you have gotten better. So what's the point in torturing yourself with these past things? There's things that really need to be healed. Exactly. You win. Like, all of these trials and tribulations were not so that you could get to the end of these challenges and then suffer even more. Like these challenges that you're going through, these things that you're suffering through are there and were there to help you achieve and get the outcomes that you want and to give you the grit and the tenacity to keep going. But there might be some trauma responses that you do need to heal. And I think that these are things, like, I'm not angry at you. I'm angry at how your subconscious is treating you, because you still don't truly believe in your worth or your value or where you're at. And that's so fucking unfair to you. It's so unfair. It's not cool. It's not cool. It's really lame. And on the back of the deck, we have heal before burning. And so I really think that what you need to do right now is, in order to truly get rid of the things that are torturing you or holding you back or making you feel like you can't succeed, that you can't achieve, I really think the universe is coming in to say you need to heal those things before they can truly burn away. Because if you just try to resist them and be like, whatever, I'm over it, I let it go, it's still going to come back. And it's still going to, and it might come back in a way that you're not anticipating, or it might come back in a subconscious way. But there's a need to really recognize where maybe you've been avoiding certain things that you've needed to heal by focusing on your outward success, which you've now reaped. But you can't enjoy the success that you're reaping because you can't be proud of yourself. You can't recognize that you deserve this. You're worrying that you don't deserve it. You're worrying that you're not good enough for it. You're worrying that you're going to lose what you're getting, and that's just not fair to you. Point blank, period. I also think that if there are any connections in your life where you're unsure of if you want to leave them in your life or not, I think that Spirit is asking you to kind of heal those parts of yourself that are in pain, and then decide once you've healed if there's someone really worthy of being in your life or not. But more so than anything, I think Spirit is really just saying, you know, it's time to get rid of the things that are no longer serving you. You don't have to allow them to affect you anymore. You may not be able to do it on your own, but you can certainly seek help or seek out solutions to help you do that. You don't have to be a victim to your own mentality. Your brain is not meant to rule you. You are meant to rule your brain. Your brain is a tool that is meant to supplement your experience. It is not meant to rule your experience and determine your experience. There's this Albert Einstein quote that's really good, and I feel like I need to find it right now. Oh shit! Sorry, I didn't mean to bump you. I'm gonna find it real quick. Jeez. Okay. It's in this oracle deck. We're gonna find it though, even if I have to bump you 70 million times. Albert Einstein, where is he? Okay, no. It would help if I knew like where it was. But oh wait, is that it? I saw. Yes. Okay, the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. So you trusting your own intuition has been exactly what has gotten you to this point. Your logical mind didn't maybe got you there in rational ways, like helping you plan, helping you grow, doing things like that. But it was your intuitive mind that led you here. You followed things before they made sense. And so now you need to trust that sense of yours will continue to get you where you need to go. You don't need to be worried about the ifs, whens, hows. You just need to keep going and recognize that your story is nowhere near over. Just because you have reached and achieved some success doesn't mean that it's all going to be taken away from you. Doesn't mean that you're going to that it's all downhill from here. Like that you really have this like kind of doom and gloom outlook, and I don't think that that's something that you have intentionally. I think it's just something that you've learned out of fear and out of your own mindset, and it's something that needs to be truly healed. Like you're not going to be able to enjoy all your success unless you truly recognize how deserving you are of it and learn how to embrace and enjoy it. So God, I hope this wasn't like a slap in the face. Abundance is your birthright. Yeah, no, Spirit's literally like, honey, like, come on. Like, you're doing great. Like, you deserve so much more. Like, this abundance that you're receiving, these beautiful blessings that you're reaping, like, you were born to get these. Do not push them away. Do not feel do not feel guilt for getting blessings. You deserve every single one of them. You're small. You're doing your best. Take a nap. Yeah. Like, it's funny because in one way you're like really doing big, amazing things, but it's important to remember that like you are only one person and that you do need to give yourself a break at times. And we also have Mercury here with good education, business, sharp intellect. So I think Spirit is saying any challenges that come your way, you can trust yourself to work through them. You don't need to be worried. I do think that you need to give your mind a break though, because like I think that you're constantly trying to anticipate the next step, and it's like you don't need to be 5 steps ahead. You can take things one step at a time and give yourself a break. It's this hyper vigilance that I think that you're really struggling with. You need to learn how to like allow yourself to breathe and give yourself a way to feel safe and to feel loved and held, because you are doing really amazing things. But the only thing you're not giving yourself is a freaking break. All is one, separation is an illusion. Yeah. So I think Spirit is reminding you that like, yes, you can see yourself in everyone, but also, you know, The idea that you're separate from anything else, the idea that you're truly alone in this is an illusion. You always have the supportive spirit. You always have the support of your loved ones. You always have support behind you, whether you feel like it or not. So trust that there are good things in your life happening, that you are having blessings happen, that this beautiful life is meant for you. And you didn't get this just from wishing really hard. You got this from hard work. You've got this from, you know, putting your nose to the grindstone and really just pushing for something greater than yourself. And I think what you need to realize now is that it's time to give yourself a break. And on the back of the deck, we have Jupiter, luck, fortune, wealth, and spirituality. And so I think Spirit's saying, we're just showering you with the blessings that we always knew were yours and that we always wanted you to receive. Don't dwell on the past, because there's nothing for you there. There is nothing in your past that you missed. There's nothing in your past that you haven't already overanalyzed to death. There's no information in your past that is necessary for your future. Anything from your past that needs to communicate to you will. Trust that you'll receive that, but you don't need to be hyper vigilant. You're okay to fall in love with the life you're creating, and you're allowed to be proud of yourself. You're allowed to recognize how far you've come. You're allowed to celebrate yourself, and you're allowed to live your truth and not feel guilty about it. You're allowed to be proud of your successes and recognize that maybe not everyone will be as successful as you, but that's not your job. And success is a subjective definition anyway. What your success is may not be what somebody else's success is, but that doesn't mean neither of you are successful. So it's important to remember that everyone else's definitions of success may not be yours, and your definition may not be theirs. We're all living our own journey, and the only person you're truly responsible for is you. It is unfair and unrealistic to feel like you have to be everything for everyone and do everything for everyone. That's just impossible. So at this point in time, the only thing that's truly necessary for you is to start appreciating and giving gratitude to your blessings, because right now you're just fearing them. You're fearing your blessings, and that's not what your guides want. You know, that's not what the universe wants for you. The universe wants you to be proud of yourself. The universe wants you to know that you're doing amazing and that you need to give yourself a break. Abundance is your birthright, and you just need to start embracing these blessings because they're not going anywhere. And the more strongly you live in your truth, the more you're going to have to face that discomfort you have with success. And honestly, I think once you realize that you're safe in feeling proud of yourself, you're safe in allowing yourself to feel successful, the more that you'll realize that you were being super unfair to yourself in the first place, and that you don't need that fearful energy ruling your life anymore. So pile 3, I am going to leave this reading here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for watching my ads. That is the simplest and easiest way to support me. But if you'd like to support me in other ways, you can like this video, you can comment down below, let me know how it resonates. You can subscribe if you haven't already. You can click that little bell notification to be notified whenever I upload a new reading. You can check out my social media, though do be aware I have tons of scammers pretending to be me. So if it's not linked below, it's not me. I also do not offer personal readings. So if someone is pretending to be me offering you a personal reading, it's not me. I also have merch linked below, but I think that is all I have. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope that this reading helped. And I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video. And I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, pile 4. If you guys chose the purple bear and the little card, I did want to mention Sunday is written on its foot. So if that is a confirmation or a sync for you in some way, there you go. So I will say I didn't really know what I was going to get coming into this reading. But what I do know now, based on doing the first 3, is that Spirit is giving you comfort in the sense of, you know, you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. This is definitely messages that are teaching you to fish for yourself. So they may not be very comforting in their delivery, but they'll bring you so much more comfort than a silly little YouTube video would. But hopefully they're having their intended purpose. But we'll see for you guys. So I just pulled a card for each one to kind of see what's going on, what Spirit wants to talk about. And we have, are you going somewhere? So this could mean a lot of different things. It's quite possible you could be considering moving somewhere, or you could be planning on moving. You could be considering moving somewhere else or going to a different place. You could also be considering going on a trip, or you are going on a trip, maybe that you're nervous about. But this could also have to do with you staying put, but maybe you are astral projecting or doing things in the spirit world where like you're kind of literally leaving your body for a little bit and coming back. It does kind of feel like there's this feeling of being trapped in a way, and that maybe moving is like, or getting out of your situation is the key to unlocking all of this, or this key to unlocking freedom. I don't know. We'll have to see. The fact that I'm about to sneeze right now does mean that you guys are blessed. Can't get myself to sneeze on camera, but whenever I feel like I need to sneeze, it's always a sign, or when I do actually sneeze, it's always a sign that someone is blessed. So I do think that this is a very blessed situation in the sense that the divine is on your side. But I want to see what they're going to say to you first. So Spirit, what comforting messages, okay, we have the Three of Swords, which I'm just going to start by talking about Moaning Myrtle, because I did not watch Harry Potter for a really long time. And the reason why I didn't watch it for a very long time, because when I was like 6, I was really, really young. I think they were watching The Chamber of Secrets, but Moaning Myrtle was there. And I just thought it was like dead girl Harry Potter, like, because that's what she looks like. And I was like, ew, like, I was like, this girl's so annoying. Like, why are people watching this show? Like, I can't believe that people are watching this movie. Like, this is dumb. And then I was super biased against Harry Potter for like the majority of my life, until my friends were like, you're ridiculous and you need to watch this. And I realized they were right. But like, I had so much prejudice against that movie because I saw the most irritating character in the entire franchise. Well, that might be debatable, but one of the most irritating characters in the entire franchise. And so, like, no wonder I was like, ew, I don't want to watch that. Like, she's so whiny. I can't stand her. I don't know what the point of me telling you all that was, but I found Moaning Myrtle to be very irritating. And I do think that there could be an element here where you may have an internal Moaning Myrtle that might be making life a little bit harder. Okay, yeah, we have the Tower. So it does seem like there was some sort of difficult change in your life that you may not have been ready for. Okay. Yeah, this is starting to make sense with the Hermit. Okay, I'm gonna get this one. Oh, wow, we have Temperance. Okay, so that's 2 similar cards. Yeah, okay. So we have the Two of Swords and the Five of Cups. What I was saying essentially was that I was unfairly judging something, which, to be fair, as a 6-year-old, I wasn't the greatest film critic. I thought like 60 minutes. I was so confused by adults watching 60 minutes because I thought it was literally just a clock ticking for like 60 minutes. I'm like, adults are so boring. Like, why don't you watch Sagwa or like JJ the Jet Plane? Like, there's much better television on. We also have the Page of Cups. I was a very critical young child. Okay, we have Death. I'm going to leave it in reverse because I think it actually needs to be. And we have the Knight of Swords. And on the back of the deck, we have the Queen of Cups. Okay, so the universe might actually be the one nudging you to make changes that you are very afraid of. It's like with this Two of Swords here, I definitely feel like you're pretty wary and not really sure what to do. With this Queen of Cups here, you're kind of dealing with divergent viewpoints within yourself. And I think that's mainly because you are very, 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 very afraid of being hurt. You know, with the Three of Swords here, and Miss Myrtle, you know, I do feel like you're very afraid of being put back into a position where you're dealing with Myrtle energy, which, like, I think everybody understands is not desirable. And, you know, it's likely that what happened to you kind of came out of nowhere. And it was really painful and really difficult to experience. And as a result, and this may not have been one experience. This could be a combination of different experiences. This could be reminiscing on the past and re-hurting yourself. But I almost feel like you've created this massive wall for yourself, where it's like you have all these big dreams to go and do things, but you're afraid to put yourself out there. It's like there's a part of you that's so ready to be with others and to bond with others and to have more fun. And I think that you're just so afraid of opening yourself up to good energy because you don't want to be disappointed again. Like, you know, with the 5 of Cups here showing the Mirror of Aries, it's like maybe something that you've really wanted has never turned out to be what you thought it would be. And I think that may have started preventing you from really taking risks or trying different things. Yeah. Because you're afraid of something very beautiful turning out to be like Voldemort in the flesh. But I do think that in a way, you're becoming your own Voldemort in the sense that you're chaining yourself to nothing and to being small out of fear. And your heart keeps saying, no, 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 pile 4, hey, we have more to achieve, we have more to do, we have more to grow. But there's that part of you that's just too scared. And so I think what you need to know, first and foremost, is that the universe is only going to knock your tower down when it's a tower built on illusions and when it's a tower that no longer serves you. I think what you need to know right now is that you've done a lot of internal work on yourself, but I think there's a need to be patient with how that internal work manifests externally. And also there's a need to be patient and allow the universe to catch up with your pace. And to also be patient with the fact that it may take time for you to fully get out of difficult energies. I really, really think that you may get stuck in analysis paralysis, or you may feel kind of cut off from the support of the universe. And I would be willing to bet that when that happens, that's because you're really stuck in your head. It's important to remember that while maybe you've lost certain things that you wanted, or you didn't get certain things that you wanted, oftentimes that happens because it was never what actually would have benefited us in the first place. I feel like you're ready to make a change. I feel like you're ready to make a move of some kind. And you're almost stalling or stopping yourself because you're afraid that maybe you're not ready, or you're afraid that you'll fail. And there's this part of you, and I think it's your heart that's saying, no, we are ready. We can do this. Like we're ready to go. But then out comes your Myrtle, and it's like, no, that's too scary. We just need to stay small. We just need to like conserve and stay in our bathroom and whine about what happened to us. I'm not saying literally whine, but stay safe and not leave our comfort zone. And I think that you're kind of have these divergent parts of yourself where you're really ready to start something new and you don't know how to get there because you're afraid of opening yourself up. You're so used to doing things alone. And so I think the universe is saying you don't need to know how to live in order to live. Living is just being. You don't need to have a detailed plan of like, okay, so walking, I take one step with one leg, and then one step with another leg, and then one step with the other leg, and then the other leg. Like, you don't need to know how to walk in order to walk. Like, somebody ideally will teach you that. Or if for some reason you can't walk, then you get some sort of assistance to help you with that. Because every human deserves to be mobile, right? And I think that there's a need to recognize where maybe you have been almost locking yourself in your own prison out of fear of what might happen if you open yourself up to the world again. And I think what Spirit is saying is that it's time. And I think that there are either people coming in or experiences coming in that are really going to break down your barriers and almost kind of force you to open up. This may come in the form of romantic interest. This could come in the form of new friends. This could come in the form of a really awesome like opportunity, like studying abroad or getting into a really awesome school or finding a job in a completely different place. I really think the universe is saying that you're ready for some sort of change and it's time. But you're not going to see those changes if you refuse to take action. Like, the universe can lead you to water, but they can't force you to drink it, right? And I think what you need to know is that your heart is not wrong in desiring more for yourself. It's your own brain that is afraid and honestly maybe a little bit traumatized by what has happened in your past, and that's okay. There's no need to feel shame for that. But what's important is that you not let that stop you. If you need help, if you need some sort of assistance with working with your brain, that's absolutely okay. But it's important to remember that sometimes we re-traumatize ourselves, or we create even more pain by focusing on what we don't have, by focusing on the past and how we were hurt in the past, by focusing on our fears in the past, when the universe is trying to give us an opportunity to open up and be playful. And I think please don't take this the wrong way, but you have a little bit of Scrooge energy, not like literally, but in the sense that like you may write off fun and playful things because you feel like you can't truly enjoy them anymore. It could be Snapey. It could be a little bit Snapey. But you know, I will say, Snape kind of chose his own fate in a lot of, well, I mean, it's a lot more complicated than that, but like, think in the sense of like, Lily and James, like, Lily was not in love with Snape the way that Snape was in love with Lily. And like, while Snape decided himself that he would never love anyone else. I'm sure there were plenty of other wonderful wizards out there, but I highly doubt he ever allowed himself to open up to something more. And I think that's because, you know, that was his choice. It was his choosing to be that way. And I think in your case, there's a need to recognize where you may be making decisions for yourself subconsciously out of fear, rather than consciously making the decision to face something, even though you might be fearful, and move beyond it. Because there are a lot of wonderful changes that are coming your way, but you may be so afraid of what the challenges might be with those changes, but you won't know till you face them. And that's why it's so important to not be afraid of facing challenges, because the only way to grow through challenges is to face them. And we all have challenges with every single thing that we do, with every single way of living. And I think what you need to know is that even though you're going to face challenges, even though change is scary, that doesn't mean you can't face it. You've been through some shit. You're a tough ass person. You can get through a lot. And I think what you need to know is that you're anticipating things being so much worse than they actually are, and you're writing things off before you even have the opportunity to explore them. Like, you deserve to explore things. You deserve to try different things and try new things. This is actually I talk about this show probably too much, but 90 Day Fiancé, okay? One of my biggest pet peeves about that show is that their friends and family, which of course this could be production setting it up, but their friends and family are just like, well, you've done this before and I'm just worried you're gonna get hurt. And then they don't support the person at all because they know that person's own BS, right? But like, even if it doesn't work out, won't they learn something? Won't they grow? Won't it be a learning experience? There's no such thing as mistakes. There's just learning experiences. And really, you have to ask yourself, or maybe you're placing unfair expectations or writing experiences off before you even give yourself the chance to have them, because you're afraid of the idea that maybe you have been trapping yourself in a prison of your own limitations because you're afraid of what success and happiness might actually feel like. And I'll be honest with you, even when you achieve success and happiness, it doesn't really matter if you're not happy with yourself, if you're not happy with your life. You could have literally objectively the best life in the world, but if you don't feel like it, you won't recognize it and you won't experience it. You are keeping yourself in a prison of your own making through the mental limitations you're creating for yourself. And what I would tell you is that you are not your thoughts don't control you, and that you are so much more than you think you are. But if you struggle to manage that on your own, there is no shame in getting help. And in fact, getting help could be exactly what you need to break through these barriers without it feeling so daunting and horrifying. You know, having someone by your side to support you and tell you that everything is going to be okay may be exactly what you need. Because I think that you know that you're destined for better things. You're destined for greater things. And you're boxing yourself in right now and not allowing the universe to bring you blessings because you're afraid of change. And so I think Spirit is asking you to knock down your own tower. You don't need the divine to do it for you. You built this tower yourself. And I think this tower is mainly built on fear. I think it's built on things that don't serve your current experiences and don't serve the person that you're becoming. And the biggest thing that you need is a truth bomb in the form of your own words to recognize, oh wait, this barrier was never there to begin with. I created it. I built it. You know, well, if I built it, I can tear it down. There's really a need to just recognize that you're not the person that you define yourself to be, you know? And with the Temperance card being here, I really, really think that there's just a need to be patient with the fact that, like, you're not going to wake up tomorrow and feel fully healed, which that's a myth. Nobody's ever fully healed. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and having it all figured out. You're never going to have it all figured out. That's kind of part of life, you know? It gets easier as you go, hopefully, if you do the work. But there's no guarantees, because at the end of the day, we all have free will. And one thing that this Spirit is saying, and this shouldn't be comforting, this should be horrifying, you can stay in this place for the rest of your life if you want to. You can stay in this energy for the rest of your life if you want to. It probably won't make you very happy. It probably won't bring much to you. But you can if you want to. You have that right. That is your right as a human being living a free will journey. But you also have the right in the free will to say, no, I'm not going to define myself by my current circumstances. I'm not going to define myself but from these past experiences. I know I've dealt with hardships, but life is hard. And I know that I can face whatever the future has for me. I know that I'm deserving of better things than what I've experienced. It's time to get myself out of the freaking toilet and go live. It's time for you to live, pile 4. And that might be hard with like the panoramic and things like that. But even just making plans to live, or just going outside your house for a little bit and like walking around in nature and just feeling good energy in any way that you can be so beneficial for you. But I think Spirit is really saying you cannot change your external circumstances until you're willing to change the actions that have created your current ones. Because if you continue to do the same thing over and over again, you're going to get the same results. And I think Spirit is really saying, hey, we're trying to get through to you. We want you to go where you want to go, but you're not going to be able to get there with your current mode of transportation. You know, it's almost like you need to upgrade. You need to trust yourself a little bit that you can think outside the box, that you can do things differently, and that you don't need to be so self-sufficient about all of it, and 2, that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to not know what the next step is, but it's okay to lead in that direction. And it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to mess up. It's okay to not know where you're going next. The important thing is that you explore. Like I was saying with the 90-day fiance thing, it's like, how are they going to know that something is real unless they go for it themselves and explore it? And so they do. Like, and it doesn't always work out. It doesn't work out a lot of the time. But they learned something. Hopefully, you know, life is all about what you make it. The wise prophet, as the wise prophet Hannah Montana says. And I really think that you're just not choosing to engage with life. And then you're wondering why life isn't bringing anything interesting to you. And it's like, well, we're not really interacting with each other. You're kind of doing your own thing and life's happening outside of you. And so it's important to remember that, you know, maybe you're writing the good parts of life off because you're so afraid of the bad. And is that really worth it? A book that you need to read is Alan Watts' The Wisdom of Insecurity. I'm actually going to go get it right now and continue talking because it's right on my nightstand. So it's a really good book. And yeah, honestly, anything with Alan Watts is some good shit. But yeah, it's this book. obviously it's been used a little bit by me, but the wisdom of insecurity, I think it will help you a lot, and I think that it will be really beneficial for you to see where maybe you're being unfair to yourself, and maybe you're pushing away good things because you're afraid of what those good things might bring and the challenges that might come about bringing good things to your life, if that makes sense. So we're gonna go deeper into advice now. Whew. That was intense. It didn't even feel intense, but it was intense. Let's see, Spirit, what else do you want to say to, yeah, time to change. That's what Spirit's saying. It's like this current stage of your life will no longer serve you. It's like you're unfairly judging something that you haven't had experience in a very long time. You know, it's like you can continue to judge life based on how you saw it when you were 6, or you can open up to it again and see if maybe it's different, or maybe you were wrong. I was wrong about Harry Potter. I freaking love it now. And all because my dumb 6-year-old self was like, oh, Moaning Myrtle's really annoying, so I'm not going to watch this entire series. Really dumb of me. A lot of limiting beliefs there. But you know what? It's okay to be wrong, and it's okay to grow. Like, that's... Mistakes and failures do more for you than success does, because you learn so much more from it. We also have detox. So if you are, you know, struggling with substances, or even like food, like if you're eating a lot of food that's like just not good for you, you know, it may be important to recognize where maybe the substances or the lack of substances that you're putting in your body are contributing to this exhaustion, contributing to this fear. But this may also have to do with technology or friendships that aren't productive for you. It may be important to recognize where maybe other people are projecting their own suffering onto you and trying to keep you small as well, because they're maybe afraid of seeing you succeed. We also have give back. And so I do think that maybe it would be helpful for you, like, to get out in the world in a way that's generous to others. So, you know, if you can volunteer or do something that you enjoy that also benefits others, I think that could be really beneficial. I think that you just need to see that, like, when you give love to others, it's a lot easier to receive love back, but you do have to be cognizant of who you're giving that love to, because if you're giving that love to somebody that has no ability to feel love or to give love back, then you're just giving to a void, a black hole. Yeah, Hufflepuff. Dedications, patience, loyalty. So you deserve to have people in your life that exhibit similar qualities, in the sense that they are dedicated to seeing you happy, they're patient with you, and that they're loyal to you. If those are the qualities that you exhibit in friendships and in relationships in general, then you deserve to have those mirrored back to you. And if people don't do that, then that's maybe someone that you might want to be aware is maybe not worth being in your life or in your circle. You may not need to like cut them off completely, but maybe be aware of how maybe the people around you are attributing to this idea that the world isn't safe because you may be sharing in those beliefs. Yeah, as I say that, follow yourself. Like, you really do need to trust what you're feeling and what you're seeing, because you might be unfairly blaming yourself for something that's not yours to begin with. And we have You Are Humble Magic. And I think one thing that you need to know is that you're so much more than you give yourself credit for. And while that can be like, humbleness is a good quality to have, sometimes you can be too humble. And sometimes you cannot recognize where your greatness lies. And I think Spirit is saying it's time to, honestly, I feel like with giving back, I feel like more than anything, it's giving back to yourself and giving yourself the opportunity to feel nurtured, because I feel like you deny yourself because you think you don't deserve it. And that, like, that's not correct. Like, that's not correct at all. You deserve kindness, especially when you're suffering. Like, when you're suffering or you're struggling, that is a sign that you need compassion, you need love, you need warmth. You don't need somebody kicking you while you're down. And if you're the one kicking yourself while you're down, well, buddy, I have news for you. It's going to be a lot harder to get back up if your own support system, your own brain is telling you to stay down. I mean, your brain is in charge of communicating to every single part of your body. You better hope that thing is running pretty well, because if it's not, it's really going to drastically affect how you see the world. And it will be part of what makes you disillusioned from reality, in the sense that, you know, your reality doesn't have to be everyone else's reality, but the reality you want to live in is a reality that you feel at peace in, and that you feel like you're safe in, that you are protected in, that you are loved in. And if you don't feel that way, then you're not in the right reality, and that you deserve to work towards that. Whether that means moving, whether that means moving your stuff around, even like work with the feng shui or whatever it's called, right? Is feng shui? Yeah, work with the feng shui. Like, don't be afraid to change things up. Don't be afraid to do things differently. Doing the same things over and over clearly isn't yielding the results that you want. So like, why not switch it up? Let's see, Spirit, what else do you want to say? Okay, well, that's, I think the divine has been trying to get in contact with you for a while, and you have been sending them to voicemail, and now they're like, well, buddy, we're giving you a lot. Okay, so we have 3 weeks, months, years. So this could be a timing thing, or this could be a sign for you. I'm just going to kind of leave that as it is. But the number 333 could be a sign that you're on the right path. Let's see what else. You're building your kingdom. Yeah. Spirit, it's like you don't deserve to just be your own prisoner locked in your own tower. Like, you deserve to build your own kingdom and be your own human and be your own person. And, you know, and the beautiful thing is that when it's your kingdom, you don't have to let anyone in there that you don't want to be there. You don't have to force anything to be there that you don't want to be. Like, it's your kingdom, your rules. And I think that especially if you grew up in a situation where you had a lot of learned helplessness, I think that Spirit is encouraging you to kind of heal those parts of yourself and recognize that you can take more action than you think you can. Yes, fight like a queen or king or gender neutral monarch. But Spirit's really saying, fight back from this stuff. Like, you don't have to let this shit get you down. Like, you don't have to accept certain things. And that doesn't mean you necessarily fight anyone, but that means that you don't accept certain energies as your own. You don't accept defeat. You don't accept your low points as being the truth of who you are. You can accept them as aspects of your being, but not the truth, that you'll get back up and fight another day. Storm is coming. So I definitely think that Spirit is saying, we're going to get you going if you don't get yourself going. Like, I think Spirit's saying, like, we want you to knock this tower down ourselves, but if nothing happens, we may create something. Now, you should never be afraid of tower moments or things like that, because no matter what happens, it's always leading you to something better. The divine is not cruel. It's not, you might feel like it's cruel at times, but the divine usually, whenever it intervenes, it's because they're stopping you from experiencing something much crueler. So I think one thing that Spirit is saying is that you're ready to fight this. You're ready, like this storm is picking up in the sense that, like, I feel like if you've been very apathetic towards life, you're getting your fight back, and you're going to be able to get up and really start going after what you want again. And I will say, like, apathy and like depression, they're really, really hard energies to be in, and I don't want you to shame yourself, but I do want you to recognize that you're deserving and worthy of help. And any belief that you're not is literally your brain lying to you. It's literally your brain being a freaking liar. And we also have abundance is your birthright. And we have Jupiter, luck, fortune, wealth, spirituality. So I definitely think that there are good things coming your way. And it's like, you just need to step into your power. Like, I really do. I think that your own attitude and your own beliefs towards life are your biggest setbacks. And the Spirit's saying, like, you have good things in your future. Abundance is your birthright, and your power should speak for itself. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You just need to be you, and trust that in that process of slowly undoing habits and patterns that no longer serve you, slowly unraveling the lies that you've told yourself and the boxes that you've been forcing yourself to fit into, the more you'll realize that you were really stuck in a prison of your own making. And that's not something that you need to be ashamed of or feel shameful towards, because we all do it. Like, we all have these things, and we all have to find our own ways to get through it. And what works for you may not work for somebody else. But once you find what works, then you can really start to get going. It's like you address the stuff that you need to heal first, so that once you're moving along on your journey, you're not tripped up by something that you thought you healed or that you thought was over. Sure, the universe might bring things back to you to continue healing them, but what you really need to know is that it's like you're at the very beginning of a video game and you're picturing yourself at the final boss like losing, and so you're stopping yourself from playing the game at all. And it's like you're not even there yet. So how can you even know that's going to be the outcome? Like, the universe has so much brighter plans for you than you have yourself, and you're the only one not willing to stick to them. And so it's like you really need to start recognizing your own worth and work on your self-esteem, because that is what's really going to help you get where you need to go. You and I both know that you deserve blessings. You and I both know that you deserve wonderful things out of life. But the divine cannot force wonderful things upon you if you're not willing to receive them. And the divine cannot create those opportunities if you're not willing to take action in the physical to help align yourself with those things. So, pile 4, once again, intense messages, but hopefully they brought the comfort of truth. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope that this reading helped. Thank you so much for watching my ads as well. That is the simplest and easiest way to support me. But if you'd like to support me in other ways, you can comment down below and let me know how it resonates. You can like the video if you enjoyed it. You can subscribe if you haven't already. You can click that little bell notification to be notified whenever I upload a new reading. You can also check out my merch, which is linked below, as well as my social media, though do be aware I have tons of scammers pretending to be me. I do not offer personal readings, and if anyone slides in your DMs pretending to be me, it is not me. I will never ever try to solicit a personal reading from you in the DMs, and like I said, I don't offer personal readings, so anyone saying that they're me offering personal readings is a liar, and they're poopy. But that's all I have for you guys. So thank you so much for letting me read your cards. I really hope that this was helpful, and I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye.